Good evening, everyone. Meeting of the Mashpee Planning Board, Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. The Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Massachusetts, 02649. It is 7 o'clock. We are broadcast live on local channel 18, streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website, www.mashpeema.gov/channel-18. I would ask you to please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to go a little out of order and ask for the LCP update from Weston and Sampson underneath new business so that they don't have to sit through the public hearings. Hello, Carolyn.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Great. Well, I'll just do a very, very quick update so you can get on to your regular business. As you know, we have the big opening workshop for visioning on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're asking that people come if they can. If they can't stay the whole time, that's fine. If they have to bring their kids, that's fine. We just want people to show up if they can. It will be at the middle high school, and we will be there from 8:30 on. Cape Cod Coffee has kindly offered some refreshments. We will have coffee and donuts, and we will have a very intense but fun and engaging workshop. I hope as many people can attend as possible. As far as the planning board and your role in this process, we're going to ask you to serve as hosts, and we will, for those who show up, we'll probably assign you some basic duties like greeting people coming in the door or timekeeping or something like that. But on the whole, you're there to listen and to walk around and hear what's coming out of the public comment. And so you'll have a better understanding of how this is all kind of coming together. We also have the website. I hope you've had a chance to visit it, www.planmashpee.com. We have, I want to say 30 or 40 people who've already signed up to get email newsletters. And we encourage people to visit the site to sign up for future newsletters. There are engagement opportunities on the website already. We have 2 different surveys up where people can put in their comments. And we will also post all of the meeting outcomes from Saturday, all of the different boards that we come up with, and notes that were taken for those who cannot be there. So that's our update. That's kind of all of our attention this week. Do you have any questions?
Looking forward to
I do. I know that you've been traveling around to all different boards and committees, and I'm just wondering when you're going to start taking comments from us.
Yeah, we need to schedule some meetings with you, working meetings. It would be great if we've been meeting with different boards, but what we haven't done is distilled all of their comments along with the data that we have researched. So there's a couple of things in the works, but when we get those all together, we definitely need to sit with you all and have some working sessions.
You know, I don't mind hosting and stuff, but I did expect to be able to comment at Saturday's meeting. I didn't hear that the planning board members weren't going to be able to comment at this meeting on Saturday.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of that.
Hi, Caroline, it's Mary, and I know I'm not on the screen, but what I'm saying is that I was not informed that on Saturday I wouldn't be able to comment.
Well, it's really about public visioning, and so it's not that you can't comment at all, or even that you can't participate at all, but it's more like as the host of it that you kind of let the public speak first. What I wouldn't want to do is have the public members feeling like, you know, that their opinions are going to be challenged by somebody there. We want a free flow of information at this session.
And do you think that I would not allow free-flowing information? I mean, why, I've been to these before, and I've always been able to participate.
Well, as I said, I'm not stopping anybody, excuse me, from participating. I just want to make sure that there is a free flow of information. So it's not about you, it's just about how the situation works.
Yeah, Caroline, it's John. I tend to agree. We don't, whether we intend to or not, I don't think we want to be swaying public opinion by inserting our own opinions, especially in the first session. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I was not planning on making any public comments because we want to hear from the public.
But we are the public, too.
We are,
Yeah.
but we're also elected officials.
Yeah, and we're elected to do land use.
And, yeah, I just, it would, if I were sitting in the sessions, I'd feel intimidated if someone from the planning board were offering their own personal opinions.
My whole idea is let the public tell us.
Right.
Yeah,
And then we could sit down.
In the first two.
When we
Agreed.
gather all that information and have public hearing meetings, and we'll put something together, then let the public decide. But I think especially the first meeting, I like to see the public tell me, I don't want to get involved and say, here's what I feel, unless I go as a private citizen to say I'm not as a planning board member.
all right.
But
Yeah.
I think it's better to let the public speak, because I don't want nobody saying that we didn't let somebody speak, or we didn't listen to everybody.
Right.
You know, I kind of like to see the public speaking. I mean, you can say something, nobody stopped you from saying anything, but if this is a town meeting, we're trying to get all the people in the town to come to participate in this and give us their opinion so we can draft something that satisfies the majority of the town. That's how I
Then
feel.
workshop and stuff later.
Yeah,
We'll
we can
have-
more-
We'll have plenty of opportunity to give our opinions.
And actually, I'm going in there with an open mind and let the meeting itself dictate how I feel. So I clearly want to hear what the public has to say, and depending on how it goes, there may be some times where I may want to interject something, someone has a specific point, and that's fine, but I definitely do not want to guide the conversation. I want to sit there and listen and take it all in. It's only the first session.
Right.
So I just want to really have my ears working versus my mouth, so,
I think that's what Caroline suggested.
yeah.
I have another question. I put this on Facebook, and I have a friend who's homebound and wanted to know if there was going to be a virtual session.
So we haven't planned a visioning workshop virtual session. However, the online survey can get to the very same things that this workshop will do. Unfortunately, by being homebound, somebody won't be able to engage in the dialogue and kind of, have that the discussion with other people, but they still will be able to give their input. And I will add, at this meeting, we'll also have takeaway sheets. So if you know somebody that you can't make the meeting, you can bring them a paper sheet, which they can drop in the mail to Town Hall, or they'll have a Dropbox in Town Hall. It's also for people who did attend the meeting, if you think about something later, which a lot of times happens, you can jot it down on our takeaway sheets and also submit it that way.
Caroline, will the takeaway sheets be available online?
They will after the meeting. That's a good. I actually didn't have that on my agenda, but I will.
Yeah. Good.
And the other thing was, I thought this was a kickoff. I didn't know, is this our only visioning session?
Well, I mean, we're going to have multiple workshops throughout the summer months.
Are they all called visioning session, or is this the only one on visioning?
Well, I think this sets the stage for all of the work to be done throughout the summer, and the vision statement will be a product of all of those working sessions.
Okay, so if somebody misses this, they can still contribute to the vision
I believe so.
statement?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
See you
Thank you.
Saturday.
See you Saturday.
Okay, a little late on the public hearing, I apologize. It is 7:10. Oh, we'll go to public discussion after the public hearings. First public hearing, 7:10, applicant Michael and Lisa Canada, owners of Wildfire Pizzeria, 2B Center Street, map 36, parcel 47. The applicant requests a modification of an approved special permit at 2B Center Street, Mashpee, Mass. 02649, owned by William Lovely. The subject lot is located in the C2 Commercial Zoning, Mashpee Center Overlay District, and the Groundwater Protection District. The request is to modify the special permit to increase the number of allowed seats to 35 from 12 with some outdoor seating. This application is made pursuant of Mashpee zoning bylaws, section 174-25E2, 174-25I10, and 174-24C9.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd just like to say that disclose, Mr. Canada is a former member of the Mashpee Fire Department, and I have filed the appropriate paperwork with the town clerk as far as my participation in this, and I can be unbiased and make a decision based on the applicant.
Thank you, Jack. Applicants, you want to, anything you want to say?
No, we come up to.
Sure, either one.
Yeah, we'll come up and sit here.
2 days in a row, I get the small chair, huh?
Yeah, I'll take the small chair. I get stuck in that.
I'm the overweight one. Thanks for having us. I would have brought pizza if I could, but that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of you know us, some of you don't. For those of you that don't, I'll say that my wife grew up in Harwich. I grew up right here in Mashpee. I've been here since the early 70s. I was in the fire service with Jack. I went to grade school in this very building, so I've been around a long time. I've been in the building profession for 35 years. My wife's a real estate broker, and about 6 years ago, we got this brilliant idea to open an Italian pizzeria in a gas station. So it was somewhat unusual. We went to pizza school in Staten Island because we're very type A people, and we wanted to make sure that we put out a top-notch product and that we stood out differently from everything else that was around. I grew up on Italian handmade pizza, and it really doesn't exist on Cape Cod as a whole. So we thought it would be great to bring it to the Cape, and specifically Mashpee, because that's where my roots are. So we opened there 6 years ago. Subsequently, recently, we lost our lease from, we were subletting from the convenience store side, and he lost his lease. So us being at the bottom of the food chain, he's out, we're out. It's kind of what happened. It was very short notice. It was very abrupt. Kind of took the wind out of our sails. And Bill and Amanda Lovely are customers of ours, and they approached us and said, hey, we have this building that might suit your needs. And so we were interested. So we met with them numerous times, looked at the building. It seemed great. The building was already built out to be a restaurant originally. It's got the septic system and the grease trap and already in the ground. So that was very helpful. So basically what we need to do is an interior build out on the building.
But he's usually the long-winded one, but tonight he's kind of cut out a lot, so I'm going to interject.
All right.
It's actually started because he's been a builder for 30 years. We both met in the military, so we're both military people. And after building and watching him struggle, we decided that, what are you going to retire into, Mike? You can't keep building forever. This isn't going to be your long-term goal. And so we started looking at businesses to buy. And when we were looking at businesses to buy, the pizza places sort of captured us. And then there was different ones that we went to look at to purchase. And when we would go there, first thing we do was try their pizza. And I'd be like, I can't stand behind this product. I can't eat this garbage. What is this? So it became sort of like, what are we going to do and how are we going to retire? Which is then turned into, well, let's go to pizza school in New York. And so we ended up in pizza school in New York because we wanted to provide people, if we were going to do it, we needed to do it right. And people have frequently, we ended up on Phantom Gourmet, people saying to us, like, how did you end up here? People always say to me, like, how did you end up opening up a pizzeria? And a lot of times I go, I have no idea, except for that once we did it, we found that we filled a need for people that was missing. And we've ended up with a place that has become
Very successful.
very successful, but like just a home, like not home, but people like come here, they love our
Gravitate.
story, they gravitate towards us, they gravitate towards our food. So it's become really like a piece of town, I feel like. In the short 6 years that we've been here, I feel like we've really become a piece of the town. And I've seen that when we left, I was almost sort of like disenchanted of like, do I even want to do this again? Because it was sort of heart-wrenching. But watching the town come around us
Yeah, the
and the
public-
outpouring of
The
support.
public support
The
behind us.
outcry on the Mashpee Message alone was just.
It was huge, huge.
I mean, we were
So
blown
now
away.
I'll let him go. I just had to fill in some.
Well, we knew we were doing a good job because, we knew we were doing a good job. We didn't realize how much of an effect we had on people with food. I mean, I was like, looking at her, I'm like, this is just pizza. People have lost their minds, It's just crazy, but people really love the product that we put out, and we were very humbled by the support when we pulled the rug out from underneath the public and had to shut the door. So it really compelled us to want to reopen, and we decided that if we were going to reopen, that place was very small. We had about 900 square feet to work with, and we had one oven, and by 6:30 every night, we stopped taking orders because we were 2 hours deep and we couldn't keep up. It was like that every night. So we were either going to walk away or grow. So we decided, let's grow it. The business model's made, the clientele's there, we just got to expand it.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do it in that little space. So as sad as it was to be kicked out of there, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise. I think in the short term it's miserable, but I think in the long term it'll be beneficial once we get re-geared up and we scale it up to a larger size. And you can only do that with a larger space, a bigger building. I couldn't fit a second oven in that. It just, there's no room for it. The oven's a 5,000-pound behemoth. It's huge.
Yeah.
And so there isn't a lot of room for another one over there. So this place is a little bit bigger, and it's, like I said, the septic system's there. I think it's a good location for us. It's, you got Katuitt coming from one side, you got Sandwich coming from the other side, you got the Mashpee folks coming in. It's sort of a meeting space by road, So I think it'll be a good spot for us. Quite honestly, people have told us, we don't care if you open at the town dump, we're coming. So the people, they don't really care. So I know that there's no risk of us failing in that location for any reason that I could see. So it's worth the investment because we have to put a substantial financial investment into the building to build it out and make it what it needs to be.
We need that extra seating in order for us to also be successful there with the cost
Right.
that we're going to incur. And then I also feel like we're going to bring some
Life.
energy and life into what we can think of, and I think you guys think of as the town center. That it's missing something kind of like right here.
There's
that
no
it'll-
food services
Yeah.
over this side of the
That's
town. It's all at the Commons and out on 28. There's nothing really over here. So, I think it'll fill a hole and fill a need that's existent, I think, and keep people from having to travel far for good food. And we put out 5-star gourmet pizza out of a gas station for 6 years. I think we can do it in that space,
Very good.
So that's pretty much our story, and that's what we'd like to do, but we need your blessing to do it.
Anybody from the public here to comment on this? Nope. Board, questions? Oh, yes.
Comment.
I didn't hear a word these folks said. I've already talked to Evan about getting some sort of transcript. I have much to say. I don't know if I'm going to be repetitive or not when I'm speaking to you. I'd like to, if I can, be the last person in this room because of my affliction. I can feel this room is the worst for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Does the PA not work? Is there a PA that comes this?
It doesn't matter, he's deaf.
He's
so
deaf.
Oh.
he can't hear
Anybody
it.
else? Yeah, please.
I'm the chairman of the board of trustees, okay?
Sure.
You want to speak in the microphone, sir?
I agree with that gentleman. I couldn't hear a word he said, and both of them. I'm the chairman of the board of trustees at Main Street Village. I'm not here to complain about anything except how it's going to impact the 24 other owners who are really in the front yard of this pizza place. Everybody likes pizza. I'm one of them. I guess it's going to have to be a seat and wait and see what happens, but quite frankly, I don't know anything about the pizza place. I did buy one once there, I never ate it. So a lot of the neighbors have the concern, as all of you would have, if you were in the front yard of this pizza place before they opened. So they have a lot of questions that they've asked me, and I can't answer them. Bill Lovely's a good friend of mine, and I know he has the concern also. It's just something that, in a way, it's a kind of an unusual situation because most businesses open in a business area. And Main Street Village, as most of you must know, is not a real big area. It's a very compact condominium association. What I personally would like to see is, I'd like to see them open up. Be handy for everybody to get a pizza there. But again, it's we don't know how it's going to happen. I mean, we're concerned about any outside dining. Are they going to have an entertainment license? Going to be music outside? Trash, where the dumpster's going to go? And I know Bill owns the whole parking lot, so if it's damaged, he has to pay for it. But the entrance to Main Street Village is for cars. And if Cisco or whoever else they hire to deliver their goods, there's no way they can come in off 130 and go directly into the place parking lot. So they're going to have to come up on Center Street, take a left and left another. And the bottom line is, it's going to be like a wait and see a bit, and that's what I'm trying to say, that decisions can't really be made 100% until we see how it goes, basically. I personally would like to see, obviously, I know the town has a 12-seat capacity for that type of business. And I can understand they want to open up. They have the space for it for 35 seats. But why do we have to give them 35 seats when they open? We don't even know how it's going to go. Let's try to see how it goes. Give them 3 months, 6 months, and then if the planning board agrees, we'll give them the rest of the seats. I'm a retired police command officer in the city of Marlborough. I've seen it all, done it all. I'm not used to town government. The city of Marlborough is a different operation, but my philosophy on things like this is having the job I had for most of my adult life. Wait and see. We all know that intersection is not a very safe one. A lot of accidents there coming out of Main Street Village on a 130. That's another concern. I hope they do well. I really do. I sincerely hope they do well, and I'll be one of the best customers they have. But it's just, my concern is 24 other owners who sit basically in the front of this building. And what are they going to see and hear when it opens? Especially in the summer when all the windows are open, they're sitting on their porches and so forth. So I just want to be on record that that's how I feel and how I feel for my responsibility is for them, really. It's, well, I guess I said what I had to say, and I just want it on record that I'd rather see it wait and see, and I know my other trustee here is Joe Davina. He also felt as though 12 seats would be all right. Most of it are going to be takeout anyways, I guess, but 12 seats would be good to start, but maybe 6 months, 3 months, 6 months down the road, everything's going good, put the 35 seats in. That's how I feel about it. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody, please.
My name's Joe Davina. I live in unit number 43, one of the single residences. And I'm a pizza lover, okay? Hope you do well, great, everything. My concern is the tractor trailers that are going to come in this subdivision making deliveries. All right? What surprises me is they're not even open. And already you want to triple the size from 12 to 35. That bothers me. Okay? I think that's a perk that you have to work at. Then come before the board and request. But if you've driven through that subdivision and look, you got the delivery trucks that come in there, the biggest one is Cisco, 32 and 40-foot trailers. You get the 2 snowstorms we had this winter, you're not going to do it. Okay? I think somebody needs to do a little bit more on the homework and then come back the first part of 2023. And if they have no qualms, nothing, everything is fine, then they should get it. But to come in before the board and triple the size before you even serve the pizza, that bothers me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Comments?
From us?
Are we allowed to speak about that, or?
Make sure that anyone else.
Anyone else? Any other comments first?
I want to.
Go ahead.
Have you ever talked to the people in the association there?
We have not.
Bill
You
has.
should have probably did that in the beginning and let them know what was going on, so they don't feel like they were left out.
No,
Left
Mr.
behind.
Lovely, who's the
Bill,
owner,
the
has.
building owner has spoke with them.
Go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
no, okay,
We don't have any connection,
but
or,
you're the ones that want this modification. Now, this used to be a restaurant at one time, right?
it was built to be a restaurant. I don't believe it was.
It's never been.
It's never been one.
When the man said about the 40-foot trailers,
Yeah.
where are they going? Are they
So,
I
You
can,
wanna
I can
speak to
actually,
that?
well, I can attest to 2 things. One, I can attest to that I was just there today, and I watched a Falmouth boom truck, huge with lumber, huge, way bigger than anything that's gonna be a Cicero truck, drive in, take the circle, turn around, and go back out because he needed to change his direction. So there's no need to go up to the residential area. You can circumvent that circle and come directly into the business area, which we only receive deliveries once a week in there.
Right.
And it's very minimal, it's early in the morning, and it's literally once a week.
one day a
Is
week.
it a 40-foot trailer? Or
No,
is it-
it's not a
it must be
40-foot
a
trailer.
smaller one, right?
It's-
Yeah,
Yep.
it's not that big.
And like I said, I
It's
watched a
not.
boom truck today, because I happened to be in there, come in and do the whole circle, a huge Falmouth boom truck with lumber, huge, I don't know
Yeah.
how big they are.
Once,
They're
once, we
huge.
would get a delivery once a week. That's all we require. One time a week, and that carries us for the whole week. It's usually on a Monday or a Tuesday.
Now, that number 35 and 12, is there a middle? That maybe
Well,
we
so
can
here, for
associate?
us, this is, I'm purely speaking from a business standpoint.
I understand. I
We-
wouldn't want to invest any money unless I got
We-
the 35.
Right, so we have to
I
invest a
understand that.
ginormous amount of money into this building. So if you take away our saleable seats, that ties our hands
Right.
to struggle to, we've taken out a loan to
Oh, I
do
know,
this,
I
right? So we gotta
understand
pay
all
this
that.
loan every month, right?
Yeah.
And if you take away the seats, we now are forced to make less
And
money.
I'd also like to say we have no interest in outdoor entertainment
Yeah,
or
yeah.
even indoor entertainment. I don't have the space for it.
Correct.
It's not something that
That's
we're,
why you should have
There'll be no
been
music
speaking to the
out.
people
right.
and got all that out and said, we're not going to do that.
I didn't even
Right.
know we had
Just
that
minute, okay,
option,
good.
honestly.
Yeah, you need a
We
permit
got
for
to listen
outdoor
to the people that
entertainment.
are here too on this.
Oh, I understand, yeah.
That's why you always should
Yeah.
have spoke. Okay, that's all.
And the outdoor seating is minimal. It'd be a couple tables under the farmer's porch of the building. And not gonna be people strewn about the parking lot or anything like that. And it's
I
quite a
have
distance. We brought some
photos, yeah,
photos.
if you need to
that
see
we
them.
could show. It's really from the building to the residential area, there's a big cluster of growth in between it, which provides a nice barrier. And it's quite a distance from
Oh, I know.
the building to the residential. It's not like they're right next door.
It's 235 feet approximately.
Right,
Yeah, I've seen
I-
the site.
I know that.
So I think, I personally don't think you'd even know, the residents won't really know we're there because of the distance, the buffer, and the fact that we're not playing rock music or making anything crazy loud. We just, in the summertime, people want to maybe sit outside and eat.
And I honestly feel that by having the seat-in, which has been a request for a lot of our customers, the traffic flow would actually be less than currently. When we went through COVID and and as long as we've been there, the traffic flow of takeout is continuous, where a traffic flow of people who come in, park, sit, seat, spend some time is not as continuous as would be. So I feel like by having some more seating, we would maintain a steadier business of people that just come with their families and enjoy pizza and go home. So.
Go ahead, Bill.
Hi, Bill Lovely. I'm the owner of the building. And so I did approach the HOA Association. I talked with Tina, who's the manager for the association, and I answered every question that she had about it. So I'm sorry that Dan, I know she got Dan on the telephone and spoke to you about it, so I don't know where the miscommunication or the lack of communication was. As far as tractor trailers go, they've already stated that they're going to be small delivery trucks, but John Fallon will tell you that it's designed to bring in
The ladder truck.
a ladder truck.
Right.
So, I don't think that's a concern. It's a commercial building, and it was originally permitted for a restaurant, for a 12-seat restaurant. And as you stated, they need the extra seats in order to justify building out the space. So if you have any other questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them. But I know originally I got an email from Dan supporting it. So I was quite surprised to see him here today expressing his concerns, because he never came back to me.
That's what I was just going to ask. Did anybody, when you reached out to them, did they come back?
He was very supportive of
So
it.
you got, okay, you did get some. So they did
Change
get.
But maybe he's had some time to think
We don't
about
want
it.
to start an argument.
I know.
That's
I
it, because-
understand that. But I'm not, I support Bill, whatever he wants to do. But I've been around too long. I was patrol commander of the police department, city of Marlboro, 125,000 people. I know how things go. I didn't just fall off a turnip wagon. I told him, great, pizza place, wonderful. That's the end of it.
Yes.
I have the responsibility of those other owners. I want you to understand that.
And I'm not denying that. I'm just saying is there was a dialogue,
Yeah,
and that's all I'm saying.
great. Thank you,
So
Bill.
any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have none.
Well, have you asked for comments from the board yet?
No, I'm going to do that now.
Thank you.
Joe?
I do not.
I said what I wanted to say, to be honest with you.
I don't have a comment right now.
Mary?
All right, so do we have a plan of the site?
I actually put one on my computer.
So while he's doing that, okay, so you have a floor plan in our packet. 8, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I see 24 seats.
Yeah, so that floor plan is still a work in progress and
Okay.
subject to engineering. I've got to go through some engineering, so we got to tweak there's going to be some tweaking in there of that floor plan. The final floor plan that I submit for a building permit will be very similar to that. That was our first rendition that we have to date.
And you're not changing the footprint, the outside
There is
walls?
there's two things that's going to happen, which actually I'm pleased about in this building. Number one, there is zero exterior work being done to the building. And I mean zero, nothing outside. The interior work is 100% non-structural. It's all just petitions within the building. So it's minimally invasive to the property surrounding and actually to the building itself.
So on this plan, where is the exterior seating going to go?
So, right, see the front door?
Is this the front door?
Which, my eyes are terrible, I'm sorry, I can't see from here.
Yeah.
So this is showing, this is what I took today, so that's the front of the building.
Yeah.
The exterior seating would be under this overhang. This is actually between, this is what you see, this is the residential on the other side, this is winter time. And then,
Lisa,
yes,
she's asking, is
Oh,
this the front
sorry.
door? That's, these two doors are the front door.
yeah.
Yeah,
So the bottom here.
Just, yeah.
So it's
So this-
on this part, you're gonna, and do you
Yes,
have an
ma'am.
estimation of how many seats you're gonna have out there?
there's probably gonna be two high tops, two tables. In front of the, there's flanking windows on each side of the entry door. So it'll be two high tops with maybe 4 chairs at each table, that's it. Maximum 8.
So 8 seats.
And,
And it may only be 2 chairs at the table, depending on how it fits and whether I feel it's too congested looking. So not much.
and, let's see. So would you accept a condition that there'd be no entertainment license or amplified
Absolutely.
music unless you came back,
Yeah,
you know, to the board? It
Yeah.
wouldn't ban it forever, right? It would be
Right.
something that you could come back and
yeah, I don't
discuss.
foresee any entertainment per se, you know, that I would want, but sure.
And last thing is parking, and the town planner might be able to answer this for me. Has there been any analysis that the site has enough parking for 35 seats?
So this is a commercial center that was permitted for 2 commercial facilities, with both of the entirety of the parking area being constructed and the second structure being unconstructed. So you have a massive overflow of parking in consideration of all the other uses on the site. I don't have a specific numeric reference of the required number of parking for the food establishment. I can follow up with you, but I can attest based on the existing condition that there's more than adequate parking in consideration of the lack of construction of the second building in the commercial center.
That sounds good to me.
And are there any plans to build that second building?
Not currently.
I would note that if,
I have to ask.
Oh, sure. Not to say that I won't, but, you know, it's not economical right now, so.
I would note that if a second facility were constructed, then the parking requirements for this facility and the flows, for example, wastewater flows would have to be taken into consideration for that second facility. So that would be something that the property owner would need to consider if and when he decides to build out
For
that
the second
second
construction.
Oh,
Got it.
that would come back as a special permit modification?
Well, the other building is already approved, but it would
Okay.
have code-related requirements that you
Certain
would
amount of
need to
space, yeah.
satisfy. So either additional parking or modifications to the wastewater collection and treatment system, et cetera. So for this facility, in the existing condition, there's more than adequate parking and there's more than adequate wastewater flow, as attested to by the health agent. I want to further just add that all of the seating, the internal floor plan, any seats on the exterior would contribute to the overall requirement for the seating, so that outdoor seating is
Right.
not in addition to what's allowed
Right.
inside.
Got it.
And further, that plan would need to be reviewed and approved by the Board of Health as well.
So you're saying that all seats would have to fall under that maximum?
Yes,
district.
yes.
And
And the Board of Health.
I'm kind of assuming that we're going to continue the public hearing, because we've had somebody who's asked for special accommodations, and won't be able to comment unless we meet special accommodations.
So we're going to have to continue all 3 of them.
If all 3 of them matter. But if we do continue it, I would love to see some more information about the parking. And I'd also like to know a little bit more of your thoughts about traffic management. Just, it came up tonight, right? You had some creative ideas that, you know, that having seats would probably reduce the traffic. But if there's anything else during that time period, if we do continue it, if you can, you know, come up with, that would be good too.
Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense. As my family had many pizza restaurants growing up. Takeout, you're in and out, in and out. But if you were actually
Yeah.
facilitating
Right.
seats with plenty of parking, that's going to really help the, you know, the
But
flow
if
of
like
traffic.
you, right, if you start, you know, Grubhub and whatever all those things are, and if you start to deliver yourself, You just want to be cognitive about your neighbors and how that's going to impact them, so.
I'll never deliver.
Yeah, okay, well, that's, you know, that answers that question. I don't want to, you know.
Yeah, we don't,
You know?
we have a hard enough time staffing it, and to pull someone off the floor and put them in a car to go deliver stuff, we found to be a negative thing, even though so many pizzerias do it. And also, the pizza's the best fresh out of the oven, and
I don't know
Yeah.
who sold out pizza with delivery.
and
I
we
would say
find
that.
the death of a pizza happens in the box. That's the death of a pizza. As soon as you put it in there, it steams it.
Humidifier, yeah.
Yeah, so when it comes out of that brick oven, it's crispy and it's fantastic. And so one of our practices is when we only par cook the pizza, when the order comes in, we don't finish it. We par cook it about 60%. And 600 degrees, it only takes about a minute and a half to finish it. So when the customer comes in, it goes back in, and they never leave with a cold pizza by sitting in a box and sitting on the shelf. So that's one of the reasons we felt like when you deliver, you lose control over the product as soon as it leaves the door. And so we didn't like that. So we just decided we're not delivering, you know. That way, when it leaves my hand, it goes to the customer's hand.
Another problem solved.
Yep.
Perfect.
I just have one more question.
Yes, sir.
There's no drive-through, right?
No, sir.
No
Not
drive-through.
allowed in Mashpee last time I did.
Right, I just,
Well, unless,
I
No,
didn't know
sir.
if it's a special.
Except for the ones that we got.
Non-conforming.
I don't know anybody that does a drive-through
Dunkin'
pizza.
Donuts one. Right there. That's-
Can I ask a question?
You may.
How many tables did you have in the gas station? How many seats was it?
We had 12, about 12 or 13, something like that we could
And
fit.
so each table is 4 seats?
We had 2 high tops with 2 chairs apiece, and then we have booths that hold, 3 people snugly, I guess, kind of shoulder to shoulder, but more 2 people comfortably. So
I asked just to kind of put in perspective, because I think it's easy when we're talking about individual seats and you're going from 12 to 35 to think
Yeah.
about a much bigger increase than might be existing on the ground. So 35 seats divided by 4 is roughly how many tables? 8 tables? A little bit more than 8. Just so what I'm getting at is not a substantially large facility.
No,
not
it's
at
not
all.
giant. We actually preferred that. We wanted to go bigger, but not too big. That was kind of our choice because, it's, running a restaurant is not an easy thing. And the bigger you make it, the more headaches that come with that. So, we like the hometown feel, and we just needed, honestly, the biggest reason for the size increases was to handle the capacity of the volume of calls that we would get. We couldn't keep up with one oven. And the oven itself takes up a huge amount of space. And we have no other cooking device in that building, not one. We do the entire menu in a brick oven, everything. Knots, wings, calzones, pizzas, everything done in the brick oven. Bread. So there's no fryolators, there's no skillets, there's no open cooktops, there's none of that. So that's it. All it is wood smoke going out the chimney. That's it. One thing.
Thank you.
So.
The gentleman with the hearing challenge, is he here for all 3 public hearings?
The gentleman is here to speak on subdivision on the next public hearing.
Okay.
oh,
So we
Not on
can,
this one.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, okay.
so we
Okay.
can vote on this one.
Gentleman raising his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, please.
You know, I'd like to get back to that.
Sir,
Just to the mic, yeah.
I live in the cul-de-sac at the end of the circle. All right, it's a straight shot. There are no around the perimeter. There are no rocks or anything. When the truck comes down that cul-de-sac, I'm the one that fixes it. They cannot make the circle. All right, and I'm not talking a trailer either. I'm talking by experience. And also, you have a school bus that comes in there. All we're asking is to table this for a few months. Let them earn it. If there are no issues, God bless them, give it to them. But if there are issues, then we're going to have a problem. Let's avoid a problem and do it right the first time. I mean, there's only one entrance into that subdivision. Come down from the town hall, down Route 130, and make a right into the subdivision. See how difficult it is. Now do it with the trailer. All right? I live on the road. I'm a road salesman. That configuration is not good. And I'm speaking by experience. And again, I want them to get it. But there are issues that should be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final
Mr. Chairman, question?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Gordon Luciano, 35 Center Street. Through you, if I could just pose two questions, not sure who would answer it. The whole building in itself, I believe there's also something else there now. Do those items or those businesses remain, or is this taking over the entire building through you, if that's possible?
The proposal, sir, is only to occupy the center unit.
The center unit?
The adjacent school and then the nearby, I guess, the health club would remain.
Second question I have, or concern, is you're also going to have pickup?
Takeout?
Takeout.
Yes, sir.
So when you have a restaurant that has, and hopefully it's going to do really well. I have a home in New Hampshire. I can't find a good pizza in the entire state. So I'm looking forward to this. And if anybody knows a place in New Hampshire, let me know there too. My only concern is, as you have a mixed business here where you're going to have people come in, they're going to park for sit-down dining. There's got to be an accommodation for the people that are going to do takeout, whether they block a couple of spots for takeout. Because what I'm concerned about on a busy night, and that whole front row gets filled with cars, are people who are going to think that they can run in and run out quickly and pick up their items going to stop parking along the street? And it might have an impact on the residents trying to get in and out of that area and around that cul-de-sac, especially the first section of homes as you pull in onto the right that are up on the hill a little bit. So if there could be something put into the order of conditions that possibly you have a couple of spots that say takeout only,
Right.
that would be in close proximity to the entrance, that would be helpful. Thank you.
It's a popular
Thank
thing these days.
What else could be signage, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll,
So would the project applicant accept that condition of
Absolutely.
designating?
I actually favor that.
It's very popular now with water.
Yeah, I favor that,
99
having
already.
designated pickup, and we could put, you know, if permitted, we would put signage there for pickup only or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes sense, absolutely.
For signs are a problem.
Can I ask a question to Jack, to the gentleman's questions? So the apparatus can get in there?
So the rotary that was installed there under the conditions that it meet the turning radius of the fire department apparatus, and that's how it was installed when they built that location. So the ladder truck has, that is an adequate turning radius for the ladder truck to turn in there.
Okay.
And there's no vehicles that deliver to us that are half the size of a ladder truck. So,
One of the experts to speak on it.
yeah, I think.
When we passed this, we made sure the fire truck.
Well, I'm very confident the ladder truck has no problem pulling there. It's a requirement of any subdivision that it meet the turning radius apparatus that's provided by the town, and it does. So I don't have an issue with that. I think to what the gentleman just spoke of, I think maybe some signage as you're coming around that rotary just points people towards the restaurant that way instead of parking up. But parking on that street going up to the residences doesn't seem like the right thing anyway, because the way it's laid out, you really want to go left. You don't want to go park
Yeah,
on
and
the
it's
street.
pretty
'cause they're gonna have to
far,
walk
like
over.
it's, you know,
Right.
people
Yeah,
would pull in
yeah.
and the shop would be here and you'd be going up the hill away from it. I don't know why they would do that.
But I think some signage would help alleviate that. And,
Agreed, as long as the town permits the signage, yeah.
And I think, you know, the conditions that Mary had said earlier might be good. We can include that all in there.
No entertainment.
No entertainment.
No entertainment.
No amplified music, and a condition that you're going to have designated
Take out,
parking for takeout, pickup.
right.
You wanna
With
make it-
those conditions, I'd entertain a motion,
I have a few words of.
please.
The applicant requested a number of waivers from the form and content of applications.
We gotta go to-
I made that recommendation in consideration that this was a completely permitted project that the planning board has already reviewed. There's no exterior alterations to the site plan, there's no exterior changes to the architecturals. So I would request the board make a motion and consider granting those waivers. They've additionally requested a waiver from the peer review fee of $5,000 in consideration of the same, because there's, again, no additional site work to be reviewed and inspected by the consulting engineer. So prior to closing the public hearing, I would ask that you consider those waiver requests.
So I'd make a motion to waive the $5,000 peer review fee.
I'll second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 What are the other waivers?
The form and content of applications from the planning board special permit regulations subsections 3 through 21.
And what are they?
It's
good question.
essentially like a submission of a site plan, all the.
All the stuff they don't have to do, more or less.
Everything you
They
would
already
normally
can't
do
expect
anything.
from,
It's done in 2005, I think.
Doesn't have to be engineered, doesn't have to, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So I'd make a motion to waive the requirement from the special, of this application from the planning board special permit regulations, section 4, form and content of application subsection 3 through 21.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that the only,
those are the only
That's
two
it?
waivers requested, yes.
Okay.
under the decision, the draft decision, it says 37 seats?
That
It
might
was-
be just an error on my
Okay.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
The
is
request is 35?
35.
Yes, sir.
I'll make that correction.
Okay, if there's no other comments, I'll close the public hearing. And
We make a motion.
do we,
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And there we go.
Can I make one just question? With the, I see faces, I see, just to the point, is it in our purview? I know you don't want to do music and you can't do music on there anyways. Is that in our purview to be saying no music?
The license for any outdoor music would go to the select board.
Select
Select board anyway, that's my only point, but I want to
Have
throw
they
it in there.
accepted the condition?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that's
I'm just,
a-
I just didn't know if we're doing
I
one thing, and we
know.
don't do that, the select board does.
Right.
I thought it was out of our purview,
No,
but
That's
let's,
a good point.
but we can make it our purview if we so
Now,
choose.
if it's captured in a recorded instrument and the request were to be made at the select
Oh,
board,
right.
we were to cite the
You want to
recorded
ask?
decision that said the planning board
Thanks, it's
conditioned this
everybody
permit on no outdoor
Right.
entertainment, it might make the selectman's decision a little bit easier. So
All right.
I don't see any
Something
issue.
new for me, I just know.
I don't see any issue with the condition
It's
as
not a,
proposed.
it's not a music,
Okay,
it's still
sounds
an
good.
event though.
So do we vote on the application?
If the board is prepared to make a motion, you can
Yeah,
certainly do
someone's
that.
got to make the motion, which includes,
All right, so
Yeah, Mary.
I make a motion to approve the application with the two approved waivers and the following two conditions that, that there shall be designated parking for pickup/takeout. And two, that the applicant has agreed to not apply for an entertainment license or have amplified music.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Did we
Thank
get
you.
approved?
Good luck with your pizza.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm already getting hungry.
Did we get approved?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I
Yeah.
have a pizza comment.
Go ahead, Ed.
Engineers and surveyors really love pizza because it's a food made in the shape of a circle, put in a box the shape of a square, and eaten in the shape of a triangle.
Well done. All right. Good
Excellent.
luck.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Before trying it out, again.
Yes. Thank you very much.
take care, Mike. Take care,
Is
Lisa.
that ours?
I don't know what's ours.
All right. Well, we're way over on
That
the
was longer than I expected, not gonna lie to you.
second.
Was the board comfortable
Sorry,
with the
guys.
rest of the draft decision as presented to you?
Yes, I was.
And I'm going to make the changes and provide you a draft copy.
Yeah, make sure you 35 versus 37. Okay. Second public hearing, which was supposed to open at 7:20, I apologize. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81T. Where's my agenda? Applicant, I'm going to butcher this.
Marcello
Malegny. Forest Hill Road LLC, 523 Main Street, map 26, block 6. The applicant requests consideration for approval of a 9-lot definitive subdivision plan of land consisting of approximately 18.05 acres located on Main Street, Route 130, between Nicoletta's Way and Echo Road.
Mr. Chairman, I have to disclose that I know engineer Kieran Healy through my work in the town of Yarmouth, but I don't feel that that prohibits me or poses any conflict of interest, and I feel I can sit on this matter.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Christopher Corain representing the applicant, Forestdale Road, LLC. With me tonight are Kieran Healy from the BSC Group, and also Marcello is here in the back. He's the applicant. So as the board may recall, we were here on a preliminary subdivision plan, I think back in December, which was approved by this board. There were some comments and suggestions made by the board prior to the filing of the definitive subdivision plan. I believe that, and Kieran can speak to this, that all those changes and comments, suggestions have been made to the plan that is before you. The only other thing that I have to say is that there was some communication between Evan and Kieran regarding the covenant, so I have prepared the standard Form D that's been signed by Marcello. So I don't know if you want me to turn it over to Kieran at this point so he can talk to you about what the changes were to the plan, and then certainly we can answer any questions.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members. For the record, Kieran Healy with the BSC Group, representing Marcello Malegny tonight.
Can you use the mic a little bit better? Thank you.
Speak up, Kieran.
Is that better? Starting at the very beginning of the roadway, we had a radius that was less than 35 feet turning into the property. We were able to realign the roadway by a couple of feet to get that 35 feet to work. So there was a small angle at the beginning of the road that runs back. By eye, you would not be able to see it, but it allows us to run back and to be able to meet that 35-foot minimum radius that was required by the fire vehicles to turn into the property. Moving into the roadway just another 100 feet, we provided a turnout area for mailboxes access so that there would be a spot for vehicles to pull in, get out of the way of the roadway, and be able to get access to mail from one particular location at the beginning of the street. Then we added, one of the other considerations was the hydrants. We had positioned hydrants along the road. It was mentioned that we would like to start them a little bit closer to Main Street, so we would have that minimum distance of 500 feet between each and every hydrant. So we did locate the first hydrant closer to Main Street to give us that 500 feet of separation between the hydrants. One of the other items was the name of the roadway. We did speak to the road department here in town, people responsible for the roads' names, and we submitted a few options to them, and they came back and were agreeable to one of them, which we now call the subdivision Lima Drive. We have talked to the water superintendent, and one of the concerns was that the water need to have a did the water need to be tied in some sort of U-shaped configuration, so it would go into either Nicoletta's Way or Echo Road. We did talk to the water superintendent about that, and because we have hydrants near the end of the cul-de-sac and we have a large drainage basin just beyond the cul-de-sac, we have the ability to flush the line. So the superintendent, as far as my understanding is, it was not necessarily to tie the water into a loop format, because we have the ability to flush it on an easier basis with that large drainage basin that we have at the end of the cul-de-sac. One of the other concerns that was brought up was the site distance along Main Street. On one of the sheets, we have provided the site distance information, and it conforms to the 600 feet required by the town, so that is not an issue in that section of the roadway. And then we also took the fire truck information, and what we did is we took the size of the vehicle and we created a template for that, and we were able to run that template through the subdivision, get in and get out, and go around the cul-de-sac at the end with the fire vehicle being able to stay on the pavement at all times. One of the pages does show that sketch as well for the fire route. And I believe that's pretty much all of the items that we had discussed at the last meeting, and we'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
And if I could just mention one thing, there is one request to vary the subdivision rules and regulations, and that's the length of the dead-end street. It's beyond, I think, 800 feet is the requirement, so this is a little bit longer, but as you can see, it's shorter than Echo Road, which is a dead end that has been approved by this board.
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Just on the things you've reported. So I see the last fire hydrant is about 125 feet before the end of the cul-de-sac. Is there another one at the cul-de-sac?
No, that last one would be 125.
Okay. And you said you created a template based on the turning radius of the truck. Did you use the template that we have already designed for that truck, or did you just use it based on the wheelbase of the ladder truck?
We use it based on multiple measurements. There's actually 8 different points of information that gets fit into the program to create that. And we also overlaid it with the template that the town has to see that it works. But physically, we need to actually create something so we can run it on the program and go through the cul-de-sac motion.
Because the way that truck turns, because of that type of truck it is, with the dual rear axle, our template that we have on the site is better to be used than just estimating it best on the wheelbase. So I'm just hoping that you use that turning radius to adjust this end of the cul-de-sac.
Right. Well, actually, if that's the case, our template would actually be a worst-case scenario.
Okay.
If your wheels come closer than that, it would be actually more beneficial using your one than the one that we used with the numbers. But I do believe that was the one that was used.
Okay. And I'm not going to hold this up, but if you could, or someone could, give me a larger copy of this, and maybe I can lay the template on it and myself just to check it after the fact, and we can adjust it accordingly. Yeah, but I don't have the template with me, so I'll keep this and I'll get back with you.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes,
just
sir.
follow up on something?
Please.
Kieran, did you say there's another hydrant on the other side, on the west side of the cul-de-sac? Because I didn't see it.
No, there's, it's about 125 feet down before.
I did
the
see
cul-de-sac
that.
itself.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the last one, right?
That's the last
Right.
one.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, typically, there's one at the end of the cul-de-sac, because that allows us easy access for any property that may be down there. But again, 125 feet is not unreasonable for a lay into a property, so I'm not going to hold that up too much. I was looking at the different distances. The only thing that doesn't show on this plan is where the hydrant is out on Route 130, because the first hydrant in this development, again, is set back 100-plus feet away from Route 130, and that which bypasses that first lot. So, which means we'd have to do a reverse lay depending on where the hydrant is on 130.
It falls right in the middle of our lot on 130.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Any public comment on this particular hearing? Yep, please.
Hi, Arden Russell, Sturgis Lane. I'm on a butter to this property. I have a process question. Are abutters notified of preliminary subdivision plans?
No.
No. Also, it's a little disappointing that this is the only information we have. It's not really easy to see something up on the board. There's nothing available here for us. I'm very concerned about another curb cut on Route 130. It's actually shocking that there would be another curb cut in such close proximity to Nicoletta's, which serves this parcel perfectly. Nicoletta's is a really, really busy street, a lot of activity, and then you combine that with Echo, and you now have a significant amount of activity, and now we're throwing another street in there, another curb cut. It just doesn't make any sense. The people who live on Sturgis are very concerned about that location of this. This is directly across the street from our corner. I guess that's really all I want to say is that it's, it's really not a great spot for another really busy industrial road. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to that point, we don't have any ownership or rights in Nicoletta's Way, so the curb cut is necessary to access this lot.
Can I ask one quick question? Who has to approve a curb cut on 130? Is that a local road?
I think Mass DEP.
If I could.
Mm-hmm.
It is a state numbered road, but in the 70s or 80s, the state removed all the roads that had the 130 in off of their state, so it's a town that would approve the road curb cut.
Okay.
That's right.
Has that been approved?
The curb cut, to my knowledge, that wouldn't have been applied for until the subdivision would be granted. But can I actually pose a question to Ms. Russell's comments?
Please.
In consideration of the lack of ownership or access or rights to utilize Nicoletta's Way to access the subject property, some of the zoning bylaw, particularly in the C3 district, contemplates access to lots in that district to encourage negotiated easements from existing drives or existing roadways. So my question is, has there been an effort to negotiate with the ownership of Nicoletta's Way to gain access to the subject lot for purposes of access so as to not require the subdivision street?
Yes, there has been ongoing discussions over many years with the owners of Nicoletta's Way, and unfortunately, to date, there's been no agreement. But there have been discussions, so.
I just want to follow up, who in the town does make that approval for the curb cut?
The DPW.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? By the town standards, how far do these curb cuts have to be away from each other?
I thought it was 300 feet.
I'm actually not certain. I would need to refer to our rules and regulations.
What did you think, Dennis?
I thought it was 300 feet, but that may be the state highway.
I know that I was actually looking today at a subdivision plan on Mercantile and Commercial Street, and the distance between those roads is less than 200 feet. That is completely in an industrial park and isn't divided by Main Street with the residential property across the street, but the distance between those roads is substantially smaller.
And what are the distances between the curb cut to Nicoletta and Echo Road?
Well, one's 154 feet between Nicoletta's and that's, I can't tell the one on Echo.
Approximately 225.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but approximately 225.
262.
That's
Yeah,
between
154
Lamar and Nicoletta?
Yeah, the center line of the roads, yes.
What's the 20-foot easement?
It's the
Drainage?
beginning of the bike path.
That's right.
Oh,
That's where it crosses the road right there.
That's where that crosswalk is.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Got it.
Any other comments, questions? Please.
Hi, my name is Bob Maffey. I'm president of the Nicoletta's Way Association. I also own Lot 1 and 2, and we own Nicoletta's Way. I'm also here with Peter Briggs, and we're authorized to speak for everybody on Nicoletta's Way. Just a little bit of history. When we purchased the land to build our buildings on Nicoletta's, we believe we were purchasing the road as well. Unfortunately, our developer lost that land to bankruptcy, and we had to bid on that land against Mr. Marcello many years ago. We purchased that land specifically to protect our investment. Peter and I, being landscape guys, we made significant investments in the landscape, the frontage, in the way the buildings and everything looked. And we also have done a lot over the last 15 years to maintain the property. We have, our goals have remained to protect the properties that we've built. We've always known that at some point it would be developed. We've never received a written proposal from our friends next door. We have submitted a written proposal to them for, to talk about opportunities. We're interested in a win-win. We know the property's going to be developed. I personally had 85-plus trucks exiting that road every morning. Peter's got a significant amount of trucks. That's just the two of us. I can speak to at least 300 employees coming in and out of that property every morning between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. every morning. With Sturgis being directly across the street in Baker, and as busy as Stonewood is and Echo, I think we're all concerned. That left turn is very difficult. We went over a bunch of stuff with Catherine. When they put a tree just 50 feet out the entrance, it caused significant problems. She allowed us to limit almost all the way up. Looks a little silly still. Anyhow, so that's what we've been concerned about. So the bottom line is, we're interested in a win-win. We're hoping our friends will talk to us about the opportunities over there, but we're very concerned about another road coming significantly less than 300 feet away. A lot of traffic gets real fast there, and if you can't see and someone pulls out and another truck is coming at that speed, you're talking trucks and trailers, landscape guys. We are not getting out of the way fast enough. So we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to speak, and we're open to do business. Thanks.
Thank you.
Still on public comment, right?
Yep. Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to close public comment.
Make a motion to close public comment.
Second?
Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, he wants to
The
speak.
gentleman wanted to
That's right.
speak on the matter.
Thank you.
Okay.
Speak in the microphone.
Joseph Gallant, 215 Ashumet Road, abutting the largest lot on the end of that cul-de-sac. It's one of my concerns. My main concern is water. I worked with this developer, engineer right here, quarter of my life. We've done quite a few things with water that a lot of people couldn't. We've taken lots out of flood zones, and made them into sellable property. Aquifer is never going to be replaced. The more water we take out of it, the more salt water comes in. You've got Echo Road that finally put asphalt on it. I'd like to have a little more retention areas on there, but that's not going to happen. Nick, is Peter Gavoni here? What's Peter Gavoni's road? The one he just put in with the restaurant?
That's Evergreen Circle.
Evergreen.
What is it?
Evergreen Circle.
All right. Now, that one there has got a bunch of retention areas there. In the wintertime, all our salts from our roads are going in those retention areas. I dig them, guys. I know what they're made of. All the road oil, hydraulic oil. This is a commercial or industrial?
Commercial and industrial.
Okay. The back part of my property is industrial. I'm assuming that's what that dotted line is, Evan?
Yes.
Okay. My concern is 15 years ago, the flagship storage, Steve Rowley built that. I was brought in because there was a water deficit of 900,000 gallons a day in Mashpee. To my knowledge, you put up one or two wells, one I know of, that mitigated 300,000 gallons a day, which left us in that area with a 600-gallon a day deficit. If there were a second well, which I'm not sure, then we're left with today at a 300,000-gallon deficit a day. They were worried if flagship caught on fire, his sprinkler system would suck the mains out of Mashpee completely dry. So they tried to force him to put his own well. And after over $1.2 million of looking into that, the town wanted to hook up to that well. So they were playing both sides back then. Mr. Rowley did not have to do it, but water is my issue. You're looking at approximately $10,000 a year per lot in taxing. How much is it going to cost to replace the water at my house? I drink the Mashpee water because I took Poland spring water 15 years ago when I built my house and did the $300 test, not the test for $110 to get my permit. And do you know Mashpee's water is cleaner than Poland Springs?
Yes, it is.
All right, no fluoride. I work with the water departments. I work with you all. My concern is my water and the size of that lot. You could put a lumberyard back there. You could put a Caterpillar dealership back there, both of which are going to dump hydraulic oil all over the place, all right? We haven't come to the point in our society where we are keeping our roads clean and free of debris that does not belong in our waterways, which is where all the catch basins end up. So if maybe some calculations can be done about how much water is coming off the roof, how much pavement you're going to do, so the water's, it's permeated. Karen has designed many a parking lot that I've put in with pervious materials that fail in 5 years because the pavers and in between the pavers where it's not supposed to be pervious get all the road dirt in there and it stops. So nobody's going to buy property with stone parking lots on it. It's just not easy to keep up during the years. So my main complaint here is the water, and I'd like to see that lot. I don't know if my other 3 people are here at the end of that road, but I'd like to see that lot have some severe restrictions on there for what can and can't be done. The end of that lot where it hits a Schumett Road, can I get some sort of a written guarantee from anybody that that will never, ever be an access to that property? I was told that that property could never be sold when I bought mine, so I'm a little leery. Can I get an answer to that at some point?
You're looking for an answer now?
Pardon me?
I just want a few things.
Please.
Regarding the large property at the end, you contemplated a use like a lumber yard. Any such use would require a special permit from this board or the zoning board of appeals, whereas those types of conditions would be imposed, but the subdivision wouldn't necessarily be the appropriate time to condition that particular use. With regard to access from a Schumett, there's not substantial enough frontage on a Schumett Road to gain access to that site, so there's not a local permitting procedure that can be accommodated.
I don't want to interrupt, but I'm losing you. I work in real short stuff because I can't hear. Is there ever going to be an access at a Schumett Road, yes or no? I don't mean to be mean and hold you to a yes or no, but that's all I can understand, Evan.
I'm not able to answer that. Under town zoning bylaw, it wouldn't be permissible.
Right, no, I mean, a lot of things happen.
There are permitting pathways that, whereas development.
Bob Bortolotti, who rented that lot on Echo, we all know that, was put out of Falmouth because he had a pit there and his trucks were going down that private road. That, I won't stand for that. No, sir. I believe somebody in the pizza store that I barely heard of what was going on was concerned about some sort of boom trucks or something. Those are real concerns. Okay, you've got a ball field with a bunch of kids playing in that ball field. They run across, jump that fence, and run over to the dog park constantly. I don't want any of the kids being hurt there. There's a lot going on for $200,000 in net to the town at what cost to nature? When are we going to stop paving over the land and let the water get to where it needs to be? That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
I do have a question.
150 feet.
Before or after we close the public hearing?
Do we already close the public
The
hearing?
No, we didn't
public
take a vote.
comment.
We didn't close the public comment.
Can I ask just a question?
So there's a motion on the table?
I was reading the setback requirements for this zone.
Oh, wait, he needs to let, yeah.
Can I ask it?
State your
So
name.
this, Sam Jeffrey on. So the setback requirements say 75 feet frontage setback, right? And rear setback is 20 feet, I think, and the sides are 20 feet for each lot. Is that correct?
Sounds generally right. But without
So
the
when you
sign.
say setback, does that mean buildings? And does that mean you can have 75 feet of paving in the front or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there, so it's 2 questions.
Yeah.
Is it undisturbed setbacks? And is there a total percentage of lot coverage that's allowed?
Yes, so if this subdivision were to be approved, I mean, some of these questions are dependent on the zoning district in which they lie, and this lot in
Has
particular
3.
is bisected by 3 zoning districts. The front part of the parcel, which is closest to Main Street, is in the C3 limited commercial zoning district. That has relatively substantial measures in place that would require, for example, 40% of the site must remain natural and undisturbed. There are 75-foot setbacks both from the front and from the side. As you get into the industrial area, the setbacks don't change, but some of the site design requirements are less restrictive than in the C3 zoning district. So one thing about parking is the zoning bylaw discourages parking in the front of the building, and it encourages it in the side and the rear, so only with a specific finding from the permit granting authority, which for these lots is generally going to be the zoning board of appeals. They would have to make a specific finding that there's some unique situation given consideration of the use or the site conditions that would necessitate parking in the front. But generally, the front is reserved for landscaping and natural area. Generally, you see retention basins or some sort of stormwater collection in the front area of those lots. Again, with the C3 zoned parcels having much more substantial requirements for screening and natural vegetation, et cetera.
Okay, so I was just wondering how they can fit a building and parking with those kind of setbacks and those size lots and with the lot coverage. That's just
Yeah,
curious.
and to answer your lot coverage, for the commercial and industrial lots, I believe it's 25% of the lot can be covered with structures.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for Evan and maybe Ed. Can you put a condition on a definitive subdivision plan?
They can, but they should be reasonably related to like access issues, because if they're, like what type of condition would you contemplate?
Well, the condition that there's no access onto Eshumet Road.
I feel like that's a better, the condition is better accomplished through the special permit process if and when that property would seek a permit.
So you're saying that when Lot 1 would come to, it would come to here?
Or the zoning board of appeals.
And why would it go to one or the other?
It depends on the use and the size of the facility. So like if that were to be a contractor yard, for example, that's generally a use that is permitted by the zoning board of appeals. If it were a 10,000 square foot building or plus and trigger a DRI, that would be coming to you. If it were a commercial center, which it wouldn't be, it would be coming to you.
Oh, because that's the front.
A wireless facility would be coming to you.
Driveway curb cut would go to DPW.
Correct.
Right, so there'd be some oversight. If a driveway, just a driveway, would be access from Schumer Road.
So you're saying, you're recommending that it be,
There's a second shot at this where the site design could be specifically conditioned in a special permit that gets recorded.
but I'm saying, can you put such a condition on a definitive subdivision?
I don't see why not. Do you have any experience with that, Ed?
No, I don't. Excuse me. I don't think there's a prohibition, but it would be,
I mean,
you'd have to have some kind of basis for that.
right, I think, as I say, we're talking about a subdivision, we're only talking about the front. We're subdividing, we're putting a road in, we're not really dealing with that back lot. I'd be
Would you be willing to take
reluctant.
that condition?
Not at this time. I'd have to talk to my client, but, I'd hate to, prejudice him.
You want to talk to them now?
I could talk to him, but I just think it's unnecessary at this point, as Evan said.
Actually, if I may, I'm remembering a piece of the zoning that's relevant here. There's a section of the zoning bylaw that deals with lots that are in split zones. If the area in a split zone, so this lot is bisected in the southwesterly part, I'm not exactly sure where we are oriented,
Yeah.
in the part with frontage on Eshumet Road, that 20-foot access. I'm assuming there's a conforming lot there, and is that 80,000 square feet?
I'm sorry, below the
Yes.
line?
Do you have a conforming lot there?
355,000 square feet.
Well, the total.
Oh, it's
the-
zoned residential.
The area
there-
That's zone residential.
Part of it is.
I don't know if that's 80 or not.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd have to defer to Kieran if he could do it, but below that line is an R5 district.
What I'm getting at is that if that one lot that is bisected by the zoning district boundary, if the area south of that boundary is conforming, meaning at least 80,000 square feet, it's governed by the residential zoning district, the requirements. So you couldn't get a building permit for that because it doesn't have adequate frontage on a street. But you wouldn't, if it's 80,000 square feet, it would be governed by the residential requirements and not the industrial requirements.
okay. Then I withdraw my request
Thank you.
or question.
All right.
But if we could confirm the size of that portion of the lot in the R5 district, I think that would be beneficial.
Okay. They can have Kieran do the calculations.
I have a question. I'm concerned about coming on to 130. I would like to see if you could negotiate Nicolo's way there. Oh, negotiate with the developer to try to come off of their road to get to your property.
Right. Well,
That's, I go there to Beacon Lumber, and it's busy.
Right.
There'll be a lot, both are Echo Road and the other one. That's right in the middle.
Well, I can,
I mean, he offered, I don't know what he was offering.
Well, that's always the question. But what I can say is that my client is certainly open to continuing discussions with Mr. Maffey on that. You know, I'd still like to see this subdivision plan, you know, go before, you know, have a vote before the board tonight. But, you know, if we're able to reach an agreement to use Nicoletta's Way, we'd certainly come back to the board with a revised plan.
But if we approve this tonight, you'll never do that.
Well, that's not true, because it potentially is less costly to enter into an agreement to build the road than to build the road.
Yep.
So that's not necessarily true.
Mr. Chair.
Roads are expensive to build.
And I have to echo some of the concerns. Obviously, you know what I do. We just had a major crash at Echo Road just the other day. It's a bad area, and it's very congested. To have a road only 150 feet away in between those two busy roads already, I really have some strong reservations about how that's going to work. That roadway is very straight, which induces a higher speed from the people that are driving. And, you know, even when people are coming out of, you know, not to do anything against Maffey, but when they're pulling out, most people see the truck, but they forget about the trailer coming behind it. Sure. So they're slamming on their brakes because they're not anticipating having to slow down even further. And it's a tough intersection. With Echo Road itself, people coming in and out of there, and that's where the crash was the other day. We do a lot of car accidents on that road, and I just feel like this might exacerbate this, and I'm not really sure about this.
I just want to note to the board, which I've noted to the property owner as well, if access were to be successfully negotiated from Nicoletta's Way, they could divide this property with a simple Form A plan that you would endorse at a later time without a public hearing. Their rights to access would certainly, that's the critical point here. I think from a land use perspective, it makes the most sense to access from Nicoletta's Way. But the property owner does have right to access the property as well. So I think we should encourage a successful negotiation with the ownership of Nicoletta's Way, with the understanding, though, that the property owner does have rights to access and utilize this property for the uses governed by the zoning bylaw, assuming there aren't substantial health, safety, or welfare concerns that need to be addressed.
I'd like to continue it to give them time to rethink it.
It's not a question about rethinking it. I mean,
I'm
you know,
not talking to you, just wait, let me just, that's what I'd like. I mean, definitely, there's gonna have to be some modification to Nicoletta Way, because it's not as long, right? So you have poor lot 1 and poor lot 2 that's not gonna be able to get, if I'm reading this right, access from Nicoletta Way, but I'd like to give them some time to really seriously think about this and ask the owner of the property, and I know that you're being represented by somebody who's advocating for you, but for the good of Mashpee and for the health and safety of Route 1, the people who are on Route 130, to seriously give that avenue serious discussion and thought.
And it would be the owners, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about
Right.
both owners, you know, negotiating in good faith.
I agree with that. That's what.
So how long do we give them, and how do we ensure that negotiations in good faith are taking place?
Well, I think you continue at a time and date that would be appropriate for the board to consider. I don't think it's within the board's purview necessarily to follow any potential negotiation, except that you could encourage the good faith effort. But before you close the public hearing, I just want to make sure that we hear from the consulting engineer as well relative to his comments. And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you.
I do think, though, I take Evan's comments to heart, that even though we have concerns, we can't restrict access to their property.
Right.
So we have to think about that. But I agree. I think a good faith effort should be made to try to gain access through Nicoletta's Way rather than create a new curb cut.
Ed?
If I may, for one, I mean,
please.
Discussions between the two parties have been going on for nearly 10 years, and we haven't come to any agreements. You know, for the board to expect that, you know, in 2 or 3 weeks that we're going to have some kind of agreement, I think is just, it's not fair to the applicant in this case. You know, I'm representing here tonight that the applicant, you know, would be willing to discuss, you know, discuss a potential agreement with the neighbor. You know, I think that's the best I can do. But to continue the hearing and put a deadline to say, okay, you have to come back in 3 weeks, I think that, you know, it certainly puts stress on my client, you know, now that obviously the neighbor now knows that, well, you have 3 weeks to try to negotiate something. So I don't know that there can certainly, you know, I don't feel like there's not an equal bargaining power in that regard. And so I feel that, you know, I think the board, you know, as Evan said, you know, we have the right to access this property. You know, we're happy to continue discussions. I don't think the board can, you know, condition it on forcing us to use that road. We don't own it. You know, so
we could continue this public hearing within another 2 weeks or a month, and I'm saying I hope you start negotiating, and if you come back to us and say we're negotiating, we're getting somewhere, we can take it from there. But I'm not going to decide on this tonight.
But it's not a question of starting negotiations. Negotiations have gone on in the past. So
well, I don't know about that, but this staff is right here to.
So, bottom line, guys, Marcello's a wonderful man. Chris is an outstanding attorney. The bottom line is we have not gotten a proposal from them ever. We've asked them a bazillion times. Tell us what you want. We'll work it out. Simple. We never thought the property wasn't going to be developed. So all we want is safety, and we want a good-looking project. We've already submitted. We put down on paper what we've talked about to them and said, look, we'll put it on paper for you. They've already got an offer to use our road that is significantly less. We've priced out. It's between $1 million and $2 million, and we have an exact number to put that road in. It's significantly less, and we're not looking for anything crazy. We think it should be done right and not create a mess in front of Sturgis and create safety issues, you know, on a left-hand turn, a very high-speed roadway. So they have the information. We should be able to get a deal done.
Thanks, Bob.
I have one quick, it's a question. Has the board asked for or received any comments from the DPW regarding the curb cut?
Not to my knowledge.
So you're going to approve a subdivision without any comments from DPW? Who needs to?
So I think we need staff, and I know that Evan,
I'm sorry.
there's a question that probably only you would come close to being able to answer.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
The curb cut
I know
question.
you were talking.
So the question was asked whether we've had any discussions with the DPW with regards to the curb cut, and we haven't. And could you explain that process so people understand that?
Well, curb cut permits required from the DPW for any project that seeks to gain access from a public or private way. I don't think the subdivision is any different. I could certainly follow up with the DPW director, assuming that the board's going to continue this, and follow up with some statements from her for your next meeting.
Thank you.
Do we have any comments from Ed?
Ed,
Yep.
anything?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, just wanted to go over real quick. I did provide comments to the team and to Kieran at BSC dated March 28th. Most of them are minor comments. Kieran, you actually referred to one in one of the comments, which I wasn't aware of from the preliminary plan review, and that is connecting to the water main on Nicoletta's Way. That was one of my comments. So I haven't heard tonight yet how or if you have any issues with the comments I provided in this letter. Are we all set? Are you
I
gonna
believe
provide
we're all
those?
set, but I haven't seen those comments. We had some discussions, but if I could just take a minute to read those comments. Maybe I missed it, I don't know, but I don't know.
I swear, I emailed it to everybody.
Yeah,
Sorry, Kieran.
Yeah,
and I apologize if I didn't read it, if I didn't see
I
it.
was surprised you didn't respond, so now I know why.
Yeah.
It's in your junk mail.
I'm fairly
somewhere.
confident they were provided, because they went to some of the other representatives.
So here's another reason perhaps to continue the meeting. None of them are particularly difficult, Kieran. I will mention a couple of things. Number one, there is a little bit of a sight distance issue at the front of the site. So as you drive out on the left towards Echo Road, there needs to be some trimming where the subdivision road's going to end up. Needs to be some trimming of the brush there. You know, it does reduce the sight distance is there as you creep out to the road, but it's not as you approach that intersection. If you go to Nicoletta's Way, different story, right? If you have some new future connection to Nicoletta's Way, no problem, no issue.
Ed, can you say that again? 'Cause
Let me go
here's the
through.
site.
Let me go through I'm looking for the copy that was put in here, so I can just go through my comments with you all. Here we go. So, item 1, get the fire department to review the plans and comment on the adequacy of emergency vehicles. Sounds like you've already got a plan to do that in the location of hydrants. Item 2, from our site visit, we noted that trees and brush on the north side of the intersection of the subdivision with Main Street will need to be cleared and trimmed back in order to provide adequate safe sight distance. And so I asked you to add a note on the plan for that, okay? Obviously, you haven't seen this, so I get it, okay?
We can definitely...
Easy enough to do.
We can definitely remove the stuff that's in front of our property. Might be a little bit different in the land that's in front of
I
Road.
understand that might be an issue, and we just have to look at what you can on the public layout. Right. Water system. I recommended that the water line be added to the roadway profiles to make sure we're all on the up and up for construction. On the plans, the water line appears to terminate near DMH 5 before the cul-de-sac. And I recommend the design be revised to show a water main continuing to the west side of the cul-de-sac to service the large lot and/or possibly ending with another fire hydrant to allow for periodic flushing. Perhaps the flushing can be handled a different way, but it looked like you didn't have a water line going to that big lot. I could have missed it. It's all in black, so it's tough to see, but could be just a little drafting issue that I couldn't see. Recommend the applicant's engineer discuss with the Mashpee Water District the possibility of connecting to the water main either on Echo Road or Nicoletta's Way. I noted in the field visit I made that the hydrant at the end of Nicoletta's Way is located very close to the lot line between lots 2 and 3 on your subdivision. So it's right on the back of the property, and if the water main is there, then the water district has an easement already that you could connect into, in my opinion. And that would provide a nice loop, because I follow on by saying this would allow the water main to be looped and provide at least 2 benefits: improve water quality by looping and connecting the water mains, and also providing an alternate water source for the subdivision in the event a water main break or other problem would happen.
Ed, could I just make a suggestion? If I will entertain a motion to continue, he obviously hasn't seen your letter, so we're going to continue it anyway. Give him the information, let's respond, come back to the board at an appropriate time.
Very good. And the rest of them are, honestly, Kieran, the rest of it's minor.
Yep.
And I would just add, if Mr. Phelan has about the template, if there's any concerns that
Yeah,
would...
if there's a problem, I'll call you. If there's not, you don't hear from me, I'm fine with it, okay?
I'm
I think
sorry
it's
about
gonna be
that, Kieran.
fine, I just want to
Yeah.
verify.
Yes.
I make a motion.
I wish I could say it's never happened to me before, but in your position,
I make a
but
motion, we
it
continue
has.
this public hearing till May, Evan.
Second, third, fourth?
Fourth, I
Yeah, I
think?
think it's the 4th, May 4th,
I'll second.
At what time?
7:10.
7:10. I'll second that, 7:10.
May 4th. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Was that a 2-week continuance, Mr. Chair?
May 10th.
No.
May 5th.
May 4th. Okay.
We go to zoning article.
Third public hearing.
I'm crossing over.
To review and make recommendations regarding the following zoning articles proposed for action at the May 2nd town meeting. Okay. What I'd like to do, we'll take each article individually, ask for public comment, comment from the board, vote on,
Can we
and then
take
move on to the
a
next
real quick break?
one.
I have to use
Sure,
the ladies'
5 minutes.
I am with you.
You're not going
Oh,
to
no.
use the ladies' break.
Usually we're out of here.
Yeah.
We're an hour and 10 minutes behind on the public hearings. Well done.
That first one took an extended
Long
period of time.
Yep. Good result.
It needed to apparently, but it
Yes.
did take longer.
Yep, well, that's okay. Good discussion. I didn't think the first one was going to be this.
Does he mute our mics when we go to break? It's the third one.
John. Yeah, no, it's not that. I'm going to lose. No, but I agree.
I wish you could, you can't set this up.
We're going to do each one. Other kind of. I think Dennis and Joe.
One with them, take the other two with the other meeting, okay?
Which one?
These two, I'll get back to those. Thank you so much, Evan.
You think I need to stick around for this?
Well, warrant articles. Your call.
All this time, I'm wondering, why isn't he commenting?
I gotta wait for Evan.
Wow. That's unusual, not too far.
While we're waiting for you to reconvene, I just want to state that I started site inspections for 11 Evergreen Circle, the one in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
It's now being framed and so on.
Yep.
They found out, they put some of the drainage in, so I had to open up. The street's fine, I don't know. Okay, it's the same contractor that's doing New Seabury with me, right? Pastory Construction. Oh, yeah. Kevin Mahoney, no problems, nothing. No
Good,
issues.
good.
They're gonna start dressing up, you know, after they get done with the major construction and truck traffic, dressing up the parking area prior to paving, but they know exactly what I expect.
Good.
They resolved the issue with
Big
the
deal.
gate.
With the what? Oh, I don't know what the issue was, sorry.
That's an issue.
Was not aware of that.
Okay, we're back. Public hearing pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 5. The Mashpee Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 6th at 7:30. I'm sorry that we're tardy. At the Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, in the Wacoit Meeting Room, to review the following zoning articles proposed for action at the May 2nd town meeting. I'd like to take each article individually, take public comment at each article, board discussion, and then vote to recommend approval or not. Thank you, Ed.
Mr. Chairman, can I just make one comment before you
Please.
dive into that? So thank you. I'm gonna leave you all to that important business. But before I leave, I just want to say on my behalf of me, for the short time I've had with him, I want to congratulate Mr. Phelan for his new appointment as the town's fire chief and for his how long, Jack? Long time here serving on the planning board. How many years?
Feels long.
15 years?
What, here on the planning board?
Yeah.
Only 3 years.
Only 3 years?
Feels like 15. Feels like 15.
You act like it's been 15. You
Yeah.
know your
Yeah,
stuff.
that's because of me.
Congratulations. Congratulations, you will be missed.
Yep, thank you, Ed.
But I'll still be calling you about questions.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Warrant Article 33, to amend 174-31 land space requirements table by adding new special footnote. This article would create a special exemption in the land space requirements table specifically for solar carports. This exemption would allow lot coverage to exceed 20% solely for this use in approved parking areas. Currently, the town is limited in its ability to utilize approved or proposed parking lots for solar energy systems, roof-mounted panels on a carport structure, primarily due to the manner in which the zoning bylaw defines structures and lot coverage. This article was submitted by petition. Any public comment on this article?
Can I just make one thing clear for both the public and the board?
You may.
This article is, I believe it's Article
33.
Unrelated to the proposed solar energy overlay systems, overlay district, yeah. This would impact any special permit project with an existing parking facility outside of any proposed solar overlay. It would enable a church or a commercial center or some facility with an existing parking area to put canopies on the site in consideration of the already existing structures that might impact the lot coverage of the site. So again, separate from the solar energy systems overlay district proposals, and this is actually the one article that was reviewed and a recommendation was able to be made by the planning board at your last public hearing on the subject in October. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you. Any board discussion?
Feeling myself get tired, so I hope I made sense.
Oh, did you ask for public comment?
I did,
Oh, and,
and there was none.
oh, okay.
Board discussion?
None for me.
Motion to recommend approval?
I make a motion to recommend approval of Article 33 as written.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
But it's not Article,
It's Article 33.
so you took them out of order?
My public hearing notice is not in order, is in the order of the agenda. At the time we wrote the public hearing notice, the warrant was not executed and there were no assigned warrant article numbers. So that's why.
Article 29, to amend 174-3, terms defined. This article would define terms that are used in the new proposed Solar Energy Systems Overlay District. The proposed definitions are consistent with the definitions recommended by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for solar energy systems. This article was submitted by petition. Public comment on Article 29? None. Discussion on the board? None. I would entertain a motion to recommend.
Second?
I can't.
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 29 as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I'm going to vote no on this.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't hear Dennis's vote.
Abstain.
What is that? 3, 1.
Is it one?
Abstain.
Okay. Article 30, to amend 174-4, enumeration of districts. This article would create a new solar energy systems overlay district. The zoning bylaw in town of Mashpee zoning must clearly delineate all zoning districts and zoning overlay districts, which this article would. This article was submitted by petition. Public comment on warrant Article 30. None? Board discussion? I would entertain a motion to approve.
To recommend.
Recommend approval.
I make a motion that we recommend Article 30 as written in the warrant.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 No.
Dennis, you abstained from the first one in terms
Yeah,
of.
but I don't have that Article 30, that's why I'm confused. I don't have none, I just have Article 35, then I have Article 10.
You know, I know where it is.
I-
There's a warrant in your packet.
Correct.
I took that Article 2. There's Article 19,
All right.
28, 32, I got them.
You got them?
Yep,
All right.
You got it?
yep. What number was it, 32?
This was Article 30.
We're on, yeah, we just did 29.
Okay.
This is the second part. Yeah, no, wait, wait.
I don't even have them.
So what, we did 29, right?
Correct.
Okay. So now we're on 30. All right, Dennis.
Okay, where are you?
What's that?
Yep. Okay, I will change my vote to
Abstention.
abstain.
So if I understand the previous vote, the motion was to recommend approval with a vote of 3 voting yes, 1 voting no, and 1 abstention.
Correct. Warrant Article 31, to amend 174-5, establishment of zoning map by adding 174-5H. This article would establish the bounds of the proposed solar energy systems overlay district within the zoning bylaw. Only the parcels identified in this proposed new section would permit medium and large-scale solar energy systems. This article was submitted by petition. Public comment.
Yes, I'd like to hear from the
The mic.
petitioner. I'd like to hear from the petitioner about this.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Just step up to the mic. Thank you.
Hi, my name's John Janity, 15 Aries Lane. I come to a lot of these, well, or I watch them on TV, and it seems like we have the same issues all the time regarding traffic safety, impact on fire departments and school systems and wastewater. When I heard about this project, it has none of those issues. It gives the town a long-term, an income stream, and without any of the problems. To me, it was a no-brainer, and that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other public comment? Board comment?
No.
I would make a motion to recommend.
Make a motion, we recommend Article 31 as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 No.
No.
Dennis, no on that article?
Yeah.
3-2. Yes.
Warrant Article 32, to amend 17425H12 of the Mashpee zoning bylaw. Currently, medium and large-scale solar energy systems are allowed within the industrial zoning districts by plan review. This article would enable the development of medium and large-scale solar energy systems within the area defined as the Solar Energy Systems Overlay District proposed in another warrant article by amending the table of uses in the zoning bylaw accordingly. This article was submitted by petition. Public comment on this article? Board comment?
So, can I see your, which one are we talking about?
32.
Adding SP.
Oh,
in
okay.
column
All right,
5.
thank you. I know where I am. Okay. No comment.
Entertain a motion.
I'll entertain a motion to approve Article 32.
Recommend.
Recommend, sorry, pardon me. Recommend, my apologies.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Okay.
We did 33, right?
Yep. Warrant Article 34, to add new section 17445.7, solar energy systems, to the Mashpee zoning bylaws. This section promotes the creation of new small, medium, and large-scale ground-mounted solar energy systems within a new proposed solar energy systems overlay district on specific parcels within the R5 and C2 zoning districts by providing standards for the placement, design, construction, operation, monitoring, modification, and removal of such installations that address public safety, minimize impacts on scenic, natural, and historic resources, and for providing adequate financial assurance for the eventual decommissioning of such installments. This new section would provide the standards of review that the planning board as special permit granting authority would utilize to scrutinize any applications submitted for the development of medium and large-scale solar energy systems within the proposed solar energy systems overlay district. This article was submitted by petition. Public comment on this article.
Again, I'd like to hear from the petitioner on this.
Does the petitioner wish to respond?
Is it here?
Yeah, same guy.
She just asked if the petitioner would be interested in speaking on this article as well.
I have a question for the petitioner, actually.
Let's let him.
No, I know.
Thank you.
He was hesitant, but I really do have a question for you.
I can hardly hear back there, but, so what was your question?
So this is the piece of this series that has the description of land, right?
That has
The description of land, of all the lots.
Yes.
How did you figure out what lots?
By the frontage and the lot size, we figured we could get, I believe, 17 A&R lots there?
And do you own any of those lots?
No.
Do you butt them?
I'm a real estate appraiser. I actually appraised it 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
But I've lived in Mashpee for 25 years.
And can I just ask how did you get involved in picking those lots?
In
picking the lots?
Yeah, like, what was your motivation to pick those lots? Were you approached to do them, or, I mean, or did you just have a dream of solar panels at that lot? or-
No, well, I mean, for me as a citizen of the town, when I heard about the project, it's a strong income stream for the town without any, it goes right to our bottom line.
Okay, so, all right, okay. So you didn't pick the lots, you heard about the project and wanted to support it?
Yeah, well, I had
Okay.
appraised it at one time, like I
Okay.
said, so I knew about the project, I knew about the parcel, and then when I heard about what they planned on doing there,
Okay,
I thought it was a great idea. I'm all for paying less taxes. Obviously, that ain't going to happen, but it offsets it.
thank you.
Thank you.
And it doesn't impact our water supply, it doesn't impact our transfer station, it doesn't impact, like I said, the police or anything else. It would, if we got those 17 lots, even if they all paid taxes, it wouldn't amount to the amount of money that the income stream would be getting, and at the same time, we wouldn't have to worry about paying additional monies for all these other
Services,
things.
yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I actually have a comment about the lots, because I didn't realize that this was going to be part of that discussion. It is part of my article, if I may address the
Yeah, could you,
board.
thank you.
Lynn Barbie, you have a packet from me, and if you were to start at the back of that packet, it's a packet that looks like this, my articles in the front, but if you were to start at the back, behind the brochure, you would see the yellow outline of this land, which is part of their proposal, the one with the yellow. And behind that, you find documentation of which lots they are with lot numbers. It's just a white page that sort of clarifies the lot numbers that are part of this was part of their original proposal from last year. So that's where I got this map from. What I have done is gone to the assessor's database and looked at the number of people who own land here. This is not all owned by one person. So the actual owners are, you can see on the assessor's database, there's a separate sheet for each one. Mr. Daniel Dacey owns the largest piece, which is where the sand pit is. And Mr. Dacey lives in West Roxbury. Other owners in this area are Mary Zochi, and you will find the assessor's sheet on her. She owns a couple of the lots. You'll find another sheet that refers to Catherine Oates, who owns a couple of the lots, according to the assessor's map. You find an assessor's sheet for Peter Bailey, who owns some of the lots. Peter Bailey. And then you'll find an assessor's sheet for William Haney, who Sr., who owns several of the lots as well. Now, his assessor sheet does include his own home, which is not there. But Catherine Oates lives in West Roxbury, Mary Zochi lives in Brookline, Peter Bailey lives in West Roxbury, and Daniel Dacey also lives in West Roxbury. The only lot owner that is in Mashpee is William Haney Sr. But my concern was, as I was researching this, and apparently there's a possible sales agreement that doesn't mention all the rest of these people. It just mentions William Haney, and he is quoted in this draft that was in your packet as the seller or sellers in quotes. So my question has been for a while now, who owns the land? Because that makes a difference about who benefits from this. I mean, maybe Mr. Haney owns all of it, but it certainly, the assessor doesn't think so. And it's not a problem to me that Mr. Janaday doesn't. He has, as a citizen, a right to have his opinion. But it's confusing to me. If all of these owners are agreeing to this solar overlay that includes their property. We haven't heard from any of these other people. We haven't even heard from Mr. Haney, although he did submit the petition last year. He has not resubmitted that petition this year, not even signed it. So I'm wondering if there's still an agreement there. So there's a big question to me, because if part of the question that the select board had about this project is, what's the agreement? What's the town going to get from this? And there's nothing in writing that says what that is. So part of it concerning to me is, what is the status of this land? Who does own it? And who has the right to sell it to the solar company? And maybe somebody can answer that. I don't know.
Well, I'll just say one thing. This is knowledge to me of who owns it, who not, but someone who, at a job, works with the assessor database can be 2 years lagging behind what actually is in the Barnstable court record. So I'm saying that I don't know who owns what.
I have a theory.
Go ahead.
These are non-conforming lots, the building lots that surround a large parcel. And this is a theory that I'm just thinking of. In the subdivision control law, there's a statute referred to as merger theory.
I need to hear you as well.
In the subdivision control law, there's a statute that's referred to as merger theory. It states that it's really to avoid the perpetuance of nonconformities subsequent to a zoning change, generally when there's an increase in minimum lot size. In 1985, Mashpee zoning changed from their minimum lot area of like 22,500 square feet to 40,000 square feet and then the 80,000 square feet. A mechanism that the courts generally frown upon is referred to as checkerboarding, whereas a property owner who holds building lots prior to a zoning change would convey those lots out in a sham conveyance to avoid merger theory. Merger theory would require that two properties adjacent to each other that are substandard and contiguous, meaning substandard, meaning they lack adequate land area to get a building permit, they would merge subsequent to the zoning change if they're held in common. So I'm assuming, because Mr. Haney sat in my office at some point and testified the fact that he owns these properties, but at some point in the past, probably prior to the time I got here, conveyed these lots out as to hopefully skirt merger theory, or merger doctrine, as it's often referred to. So that's only a theory, Ms. Barbie. So
okay. Does that include the lot number 420, which is the largest lot, which is owned as of December of 2021 by Mr. Daniel Dacey?
That would not impact that because it's of adequate size. So again, the merger doctrine is designed to not perpetuate nonconformity. So
right.
But what the merger doctrine is very clear on is that separate ownership is not necessarily separate dominion and control. So if you have a separate owner, but the dominion and control of the adjacent lots is not indeed separate, that would have to be found by
So how do you
litigation.
define control if it's not ownership?
For example, like if it's a trust, but you're the trustee of the trust and you're the owner of the next
Okay.
property, merger doctrine would apply and the lots must merge.
Right.
So again, this is just a theory. I'm not sure that this answers your question, but it's I think,
Well,
relatively sound.
Apparently, Mr. Dacey, it is a trust, but I understand what that is. I have a trust and my land is in the trust, but I have control over it.
Right.
Nobody else can do something with it until
Right.
I'm gone.
Right, so that's my theory. The likelihood is that Mr. Haney would, or associates would have some stake in the trust and the power to convey or sell or mortgage, whatever,
Right.
the lot. But again, I'm operating in speculation.
But does that raise questions about what is the future of this project if, in fact, we pass the bylaw, but the person who owns the land decides not to give it to Direct Grid, which I have no problem with at all as a company. And I think that has been some of the questions that have been raised by the Select Board, as well as a request for an environmental impact, which has not happened on this yet either.
Yeah, I think,
And that very directly applies to my article, which is number 35, which we haven't gotten to yet.
yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I think when it comes down, if the town were to approve the zoning, a special permit would still need to be issued on the site.
Right.
That special permit application would need to include the deed and the specified authorization of the requisite property owners to proceed and to be heard by this board or whoever the permit granting authority is. Whether or not it may impact whether NextGrid's the buyer, I'm obviously not able to opine or contemplate those issues, but ownership would certainly need to be satisfactory, and the property owners would certainly need to be aware and willing to allow a purchaser or a lessee to seek a permit from this body.
Thank you.
So, I mean, if you want to go ahead and vote on this, then I will speak to my article, which is next. So that's, but it is disconcerting to one to feel like there's a lot, even at the Select Board, there was some comment about the cart before the horse. As you know, I respond to that. But there is a whole lot of stuff that's not in writing that people were hoping would be in writing before we would give over a huge bylaw to someone who doesn't even show up to discuss it, who is apparently going to be the beneficiary of it, which is Mr. Haney, not NextGrid. NextGrid might also, but, you know, and it's sort of confusing to someone to see that he petitions and then he doesn't petition and Mr. Janity steps in for him, which is fine. He has the right to do that. But did he change his mind? Did Mr. Haney change his mind and decide that he doesn't want NextGrid to have it? I don't know, because he's not speaking for himself, and that's disconcerting for a lot of people. But I will let you finish with this article, and then I will present mine, which you have a whole packet in front of you, unless you have a question for me.
I would entertain a motion to
I
recommend.
would just like to make a comment first.
Please.
I do have concerns that that the person spoke suggests that something nefarious is going on and that something underhanded. I will say that she does bring up the point that the selectmen had concerns, yet they still voted 5-0 to support it. I don't have any concerns, and I'm not automatically going to think something nefarious is going
They
on.
didn't vote on it.
They recommended 5-0. It says it right in the packet here.
We'll make a recommendation at town.
Yeah, they're going to make a
There must be a
recommendation
typo
at
on the
town
warrant.
They did not, the
Oh,
select board
it's a
did not
typo.
recommend.
They will be
It's a
making a
typo.
recommendation.
Okay.
They're going to make a recommendation
All right, that's a
after
typo.
they hear what we do here tonight.
Yeah.
And I said, thanks, guys.
Right. The select board did not make any recommendation for it,
All
so.
right. Thank you for clarifying that.
I think, at this, there's no, really, you're not reviewing a project yet. You're contemplating a land use for a particular site, and I think the number one consideration at this juncture is the site adequate, and is it able to sustain the uses being
For that
proposed
use.
in the site?
Right.
But you're giving it a new use.
Yes.
You bring it up and you give it a new use, and, you mark this lot for housing in your little analysis, and it's something to think about.
Yes.
Is this the best use for this land?
To that point, I think the solar, in my opinion, I try to look at it somewhat as a temporary use, relatively longer term. We're talking about 20 years. In that period of time, in the short term, it's my opinion that this is given the disturbance on the site, this is a reasonable site to site such a facility. In the long-term outlook, I would agree. I think this is a opportunity for development and redevelopment and consideration of some of our housing needs in the future, especially when we know, assuming our wastewater plant can get up and running, that a pipe's going to be coming straight across this property on 151. So what I'm saying is, if we can look at it as if it's relatively temporary and buy yourself 20 years to give thoughtful consideration to what zoning amendments could look like for housing opportunities, then that might be something worth considering.
With income for 20 years.
Yes.
Right, this is your buildable lots, and it's that little purple thing right there which says it's buildable.
Right.
Yes.
Which
So-
is,
Okay. So, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, in the short term, that's buildable with no wastewater infrastructure in place, with not really any major opportunity for substantial housing that's any different than what we have.
Right.
But in 20 years, there might be a substantial opportunity for the community to pursue something quite simple.
we might even have a sewer, right?
We might even have a sewer.
just have
I see it as a long-term play.
Thank you.
When I was on the sewer commission, was 25 years ago. We're still working on this.
Yeah.
We've been talking about housing since I come on the planning board. I look at this piece of property, it'd be nice to put a lot of apartments, like apartment houses along here, but make them affordable, not, the whole lot should be all affordable. If we only could do that, I don't know if we could do that, but.
Yeah,
I-
well,
I
why don't we
wanna
make a
wait
lot of
20
money for 20 years, then do that? What are you saying?
Yeah, but we need housing now, not 20 years from now. We
We're
need
not
housing now.
gonna- we're not
I don't
gonna have
wanna
any
hear no
extra
more.
house.
Well, who
A
wants to-
hospital.
All right, well, who wants to
Nothing
build
else.
houses there? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
My understanding is
look
that,
at it for housing.
my
Well, and the
understanding is
owner
that
would
there's
have
not
to-
actually a written agreement that the land will come back to the town automatically in 20 years. That that the next grid will have the opportunity to,
I think you're
true.
rejecting
Correct.
something
Do something.
that's not in front of us right now.
Right, right, right.
No, but he brought it up.
Well,
So
right.
she's
One
correct.
other thing, I'd like to know who owns this property. After what I heard just a little while ago, we don't know really if Mr. Haney owns the whole property or just the part that was a
The wrong
sand pit.
page.
Before I vote on this, I want to know, I want to see a title or something that says he owns this property.
Well, that's why I asked for the exclusive option
Yeah.
to purchase. And I think they did the best they could in giving them the materials that are in the packet. But
Well, that's all I have to say.
right.
that was the motivation for that,
Evan.
was to answer that question.
I guess just my opinion on the question about, who owns the property at the end of the life of the panels. If you have that amount of time to adequately consider.
Ownership is not usually a matter of opinion, though.
No, but
It's a matter of, you can provide the document that says you have the right to sell it,
Let's let him finish.
right?
Well, what I'm saying
Please.
is, the highest and best use of the property today is a perpetuated pattern of development that is not consistent, I think, with the housing need. So if you are able, through long-term planning processes, to define
I get it.
zoning that enables a higher and best use that is more substantial and beneficial and vetted out by the board, does it matter who the owner is if we give the incentive to a developer to develop what the town is interested in?
Well, it's being proposed, this bylaw is being proposed as a package deal, so yes.
I just feel like that's short-sighted. I think you can think bigger
You
picture.
know, I mean, it
Okay.
came to us as a
I gotcha.
package.
Yeah,
That's-
I'm just trying to lay out.
I know what you're,
Right.
I know what you're saying, but this is kind of unique.
Yeah, I would agree.
Let's take a vote.
Yeah. I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we recommend Article 34 as written.
I will
Second.
second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay. 3-2. Final. Warrant Article 35, to add a new subsection to any solar energy system overlay district zoning bylaw by adding to the required performance standards for such a use an open space requirement and increased setbacks from water bodies and wetlands. This supposed subsection would require any solar energy system of 7 acres or more set aside at least half an acre of upland excluding water or water bodies as defined under MGL C 131, Section 40, for each 1 acre of developed area as undeveloped open space deeded to the town of Mashpee in the care and custody of its Conservation Commission. Further, this article would restrict any solar energy system from being sited within 300 feet of any water body or stream or within 100 feet of any wetland. This article was submitted by petition. Any public comment?
Yes.
Can I go first?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm actually going to take this opportunity to sort of jump in on the conversation you just had. If the town believes that there are locations that are appropriate for solar overlay districts, that should be initiated at a town level. It should be initiated through a planning process using our staff expertise to weigh the pros and cons of each site. Is it more appropriate for housing or is it more appropriate for solar? Why would it be appropriate for solar? The reason why people are considering some of these proposals as nefarious, your word, is because they're developer driven. They're being given to us by developers. They're not being developed on a community level as to where the most appropriate location for these kind of uses are in town. And that's where the concern comes from the community.
Okay?
Please.
Yes. So I'll just, Lynn Barbie, I will just state that when I drafted this article, I hadn't paid any attention to who owned what land. I was like, I was looking, going deeper and deeper and deeper into it. I was like, wait a minute. There are all these different plots, and I started looking things up, and so that's where my previous comments came from, was I'm confused about who has the right to sell this land. So I will refer you to the packet that has the article in the right on top. So I believe there was some confusion about my Article 35. It adds paragraph numbers 12 and 13 to the other petitioners 174-45.7F, adding required performance standards. It does not negate the previous article. Okay, so it's not in opposition to the solar project. But I want to address the property. Why did I submit performance standard language? I've looked at the property under consideration. It is zoned residential 5 and commercial C2 by the original petitioner's document. And as we noted, the R5 land is actually on Evans' buildable parcels. In the map that you have, you will see a yellow sticker, and that's the land we're talking about, exactly right there. So right 151 Algonquin, Old Barnstable Road. And if you look to the west of that, you will see it is the Childs River. The Childs River abuts this land right along the western edge. Hopefully you all have had a chance to visit the Childs River Restoration. That is Quaker Meeting House, Rod and Gun Club, Falmouth, Old Barnstable, and because it's quite amazing. I say, why wouldn't the town want to continue the restoration of this river north of Old Barnstable? Because it is there. You can see it. Some of the maps don't show it clearly, but it's there. In order to be able to consider that, we would have to protect that land adjacent to the river in order to have the opportunity to develop it. So that's why number 13 of the article talks about setbacks from water bodies and wetlands, in order to protect that part of the Childs River, to be able to have the opportunity to restore it. So, as for paragraph 12, which refers to the open space for conservation, if you look at either the black and white map, which is here, or the NEPA-assist map, which is in color, you do see the sand pit. It's very clear. But what you see next to it is woods. It's wooded land. Even in the last year's documentation that NextGrid provided, they stated that, quote, half of the site is over portions of the former sand pit, while the remaining portions are wooded. Most of the land is wooded. The sand pit is actually a smaller part. If you go there, like I did, and I've been there multiple times driving past, I haven't walked through it because it's private property and I didn't do that, but you would see that it's wooded. So why would we cut down trees to put in solar panels? So the Cape Cod Commission does address the need for open space in solar projects. In his letter to the board today, Mr. Serber suggests that the commission might require a 3-to-1 ratio of protected space to develop land, which is an even higher standard than in my bylaw, which is half an acre for each acre of the project of this size. But obviously, that's you know, as I said, Cape Cod Commission has much higher demands than what I'm asking for. So we can at least protect some of this land with designated conservation land. And we need to protect our open space in this town. So, as I said, my article does not contradict the previous ones. It simply adds on something that will give the town clearly a benefit. We may get some money out of the solar as well, but we'll have to see about that. So, and we don't yet have the environmental impact study. I believe, although I can't document it, that Direct Grid would still make a profitable investment if the area of the solar panels was smaller, allowing for the wetland setback and conservation. And we could have both. We could have conservation and wetland protection and the solar array. So my article addresses the issues of the set-aside land for open space and the protection of the watershed. This language would be useful anywhere, in any solar project. So I just wanted to say that, as I've said to him before, I hope Direct Grid gets the job. I think that they seem like a good company. I might prefer that we have housing or something else there, but I like solar. And I think Direct Grid is, probably a good company. But I also think that we need to have we can say that conservation land, open space, and protecting our wetlands is also very, very important. And I hope that you will approve my article. Thank you.
Any other public
questions?
comments? No?
Thank you.
Please.
Are you taking comments from the board?
Yeah,
I just-
this is still public comment.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so,
You need to introduce yourself.
sorry, yes, ma'am. My
Because
name is
you are not,
Daniel
you are not a
Serber.
resident of the town.
Sure. My name is Daniel Serber with Next Grid.
Right.
And thanks, Miss Barbie, for coming out. You know, you've been at our public meetings, you've been very involved, you've been very sweet to me every time I
And I
run into you.
keep telling you, I like solar.
I know, and I believe you. The only, we have the issue, with the language in this is that we've done a wetlands delineation on the site. There's 2 water features that do exist within the borders of this. One is all the way up by the street, all the way up by Nathan Ellis Highway. And the other one is abutting the sand pit on the western side. And so when we're setting back hundreds of feet from this water feature, we're actually preventing us from developing on the already disturbed land, which is the ideal place for solar. That portion is the highest and best use. And we find that sand pits are a perfect location for solar, so you're actually pushing the solar farther into the trees. And so that portion specifically is counterproductive to the ends that this article is trying to get at, right? To save trees, to push solar onto the already disturbed portion. So it's a bit counterproductive. And there's just some other parts of this that are unclear to me. So we already have these wooded buffers that really add up to almost 5 acres. So is that buffer land allowed to count towards this 2-to-1 set aside? We're not sure. And then what happens if we want to put that into permanent conservation? We're totally fine with that. It's going to be conserved no matter what, per our plan. You know, what if a conservation group doesn't want to take on buffer zones as part of their ownership, or the town for that matter? Does that mean we're just not allowed to develop the project? I mean, it would be good if it said reasonable efforts to donate the land or an offer to donate the land. There's just some language changes fundamentally that we'd like to see in this. And further, you know, we hope that this could still be a viable development, but it might be hard depending on how all that plays out. Like if it's 2-to-1, not counting any of the buffer areas, plus set 300 back from wetlands, I mean, that's going to kill the project. So it's a troublesome compared to, or from what we're trying to accomplish. Parts of it, I think, are counterproductive to what the ends are of this bill, or of this warrant article. So just wanted to make that clear. I think it's great to try to save trees, and just want to make sure the language is where it needs to be, that this makes sense for everybody.
Thank you.
If I could just, at one point, somebody said cart before the horse. It seems to me that had this whole project actually been developed by the planning board to write the bylaws way back in the beginning, years ago now, we could have had the discussion in a much more productive way, because I think that it's possible to accommodate everybody with this. The Conservation Commission can get some land and the wetlands can be protected. And it's, you know, when we're stuck at this point of either you get what you want or I get what I want, it's not really a very productive thing, because what I want is good for the town. What he wants is good for the town. But I think we need to think about the conservation issues here. And I myself really think that we need a setback from the wetlands that will protect it.
Any other public comment? Board discussion?
Well, I have a couple of comments. One, she cited the Cape Cod Commission as a 3-to-1, where they're more restrictive than our, and this is a 2-to-1, which is actually more restrictive than the Cape Cod Commission, because it's a 33% versus a 25%. It's 1 acre and a half acres put in
Cape Cod
conservation.
Commission in rural areas, they have you set aside 3 acres.
Well, the way she said it.
Right, but it's in the materials that was, so it's 3 acres set aside for 1 acre developed.
My challenge with this
This one is
is
a half an acre,
for
half
every
an
1
acre
acre.
set aside.
So for 4 acres, there's 2 acres being set aside.
Right.
For 4 acres, there's 2 acres that have to be set aside, and at 1 to 1 to a half.
That's correct.
Right.
So,
So-
that's much smaller than what the
Well,
Cape
I'm-
Cod Commission.
Yeah, but I'm just using that example. The problem by putting this restriction, a Conservation Commission restriction on this, is now, when this land gets turned back over, we now have land that we can't use for housing, that we potentially could have used. And I think that, why are we putting that restriction? There's already wetland setbacks, there's already requirements, and the use of a solar won't impact the land. And I have real concerns with the 300-foot setback, because that will push the whole, right now, we have a perfect sand pit, and it is much larger than you say, because I've walked the land many times. And pushing that 300 feet closer to Old Barnstable or to Algonquin, now you're going to have to cut all those woods down. So now you're going to be destroying the woods. So if you're saying he can't touch the woods, and you're pushing it 300 feet away from the Childs River, this project's not feasible at all. It won't work. And I know you say that it works, or that it benefits both. I think it's going to make the project undoable. But my big concern is the conservation restriction, that if you put that on there, now 20 years down the road, or when this land gets turned back over to the town, we can't use that land. We can't use it for what we just talked about, housing.
Buy
Because
housing?
now, a good 30% of it is now blocked, that we can't touch. So I'm not in favor of this conservation restriction. I think that what we have in place now will work. You know, the planning board will be intimately involved with it, and so I'm not in favor of this.
Any other discussion?
I agree with Jack. I mean, to get the best of both worlds, is we're gonna get the power of the solar, and then down the street, learn how to, you know, get more houses that we need for the town, and that will take away, we won't be able to do houses for the town, because it'll be in conservation, which is great, but you can't, I mean, we need houses, and potentially that could happen down the road, whether it's, 20 years or whatever.
Especially if we get the sewer.
Yeah, but if you want housing, you should use this land for housing now.
Yeah, but right now,
But to
because of
Evan's
where it's
point, it's not going to
located,
give you the housing we need. It's going to give you more of the housing that exists.
No, there are places that get developed with the housing that is needed with an on-site wastewater treatment facility. So,
Town
yeah,
planner's telling us,
I
it's not
do
gonna
this
give you-
professionally,
So
and
does
yes,
he.
you do. So you do a Chapter 40B, and you get the density, and you put an on-site wastewater treatment facility.
and you
So
gotta
at
get someone to agree with
497
that.
Route 28 in South Yarmouth is 40 units with a wastewater treatment facility on site.
That's like-
At 881 Route 28,
Mm-hmm.
there's 69 units.
Do we
I think
have-
Asher's Path must
So you-
have its own wastewater treatment facility. So you
You got to
can
get a
do it.
developer to agree to it.
We need
That's
a
what-
willing
no,
You got
landlord
to
for
get
that.
the owner of
Absolutely
the
true.
property to sell it.
That's true. That's true.
Okay. Anything else?
I
Dennis?
think he wants to
One
say.
thing, I'm confused, because the solar would be the best use for not polluting anything. And I'm also concerned if I want to see housing, but I could go along, though, maybe waiting till 20 years, because we don't have a sewer system yet in the town. And if we did have a buyer, he started putting houses up, that'd be just more trouble for the weight, our water.
Who says they're gonna sell it either?
Well, I
I
don't
mean,
care
there's so
about
many
that.
ifs, ands, or buts.
Somebody's gonna sell it. Everything sells, you know that. You're a real estate guy.
Yeah.
There's always a buyer, and so
Yeah.
don't try to push that on.
Well, you don't know, you can't speak,
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know.
It's selling now, and it's off it. But I'm confused. I like the solar, because it's the least pollution, and if we do that setback, we're gonna cut more trees down, because they have to cut the trees down for the sunlight to come down. If they push it back, the trees may hit it.
And
but-
you can never use that for housing ever again, because it's
Right, yeah, so I'm confused, but that's all I have to say.
not easy, it's not
You
easy.
could use some of the lot for housing. You can build up.
You could use some, but at
Yeah.
what point will that not be feasible for the company to do the solar in the first place?
Well, if it's 3 acres set aside for 1 acre developed, that's way more than what this is asking for. So, I mean, the Cape Cod Commission, that review would kill it.
Evan?
I just, kind of a question. Cape Cod Commission DRIs, they allow off-site mitigation?
For something like this, I don't know. I can't,
Or- Yeah, I'm wondering if they have off-site mitigation or payment in, like an impact fee.
I don't know. In the decisions that I've read, it really does depend on whether they have it, how they have it mapped. You know, like, the place types, like, there was something that Housing Assistance Corporation that does housing, they own land in Sandwich, and they did a solar farm out of it instead. I don't understand why they didn't use it for housing, but anyways, they had to give 3 acres of land for every acre developed for the solar farm. And it was like 10 acres of the solar farm and 30 acres of open space.
I think,
But then there's other areas that people only had to give like 3 acres for a 10 acre. So I don't understand how the Cape Cod Commission decides that.
I think, just from, again, I really view this in the long term, to your point, Jack. You know, I've heard a lot from the community about housing and the lack of wastewater infrastructure. And I think not being short-sighted is important here to consider what the neighborhood could look like in the future with access to that infrastructure, and not artificially restricting your ability to utilize that land to its utmost potential without artificially restricting with conservation restrictions. The town won't have control of this parcel, so a 40B is the only pathway. Mary's absolutely right. You could do a comprehensive permit and permit a project and do a wastewater treatment facility, but you have no control over what that development looks like. None.
Well, you go to the zoning board of appeals.
You do, but they have very limited latitude with that approval. Whereas where the town were to draft the RFP and enter into a development agreement, then we do. We have much more substantial control, but we haven't met our housing production plan marks ever. And so their authority is relatively limited.
You can have a very aggressive Chapter 40B.
That's what I'm saying.
Those tend not to be used anymore because of the pain and suffering for the developer. The developer usually does friendly 40B, and so you can have some latitude because people don't want to be appealed and fought in court. So, and I think that affordable housing, people want to make things look nice.
I don't disagree. It's just predictability is always something I think is important here, and you lack that predictability.
If I may,
So-
one last comment. Also in your packet, Direct Grid could go to the industrial area and build solar there and not have to deal with inventory. So, you know, this is not the only place, and you wouldn't need an overlay because it's already in our zoning that in the industrial area, that's where we expect to have solar arrays.
That is true.
I would recommend a motion.
I make a motion that we recommend, no, I'm not going to make a motion to recommend.
It's good to make motions in the affirmative. You can make a motion to recommend.
I make a motion that we don't recommend this article.
Second.
All in favor?
Well, I just, if you make it in the affirmative, you can vote against your own motion.
Exactly. Yes, it's
And that way,
helpful
when
to make.
when it's
That's
written
what he
in
was
the
saying.
warrant, it's easier for.
Yeah.
I would suggest you make the motion in the affirmative.
I would just recommend that you withdraw your
I
motions.
withdraw my motion.
Agreed.
Second that.
Okay, and
Okay.
then just do your regular motion that you, okay. I move that we recommend this article for approval by town meeting.
Second.
As written. Yeah, we can't change it.
All in favor?
Is there a second?
Is there a
Go ahead. Oh, second.
second? All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You just changed your answer. You just changed your answer, Dennis.
Are you for this article or against this article?
I'm for it.
You're for it.
Okay.
So you don't have.
Oh,
a
your
problem.
first vote was, okay.
Conservation, yeah, you switched it, okay.
3-2.
3-2.
3-2.
Okay.
Wait, 2-3. I'm confused. You guys confused me.
2-3.
3, it does not pass.
Yes.
You confused me, man.
It doesn't
Not
pass.
recommend.
So it ends up being not recommend. I mean, do you want to vote it the other way?
No, I got it. I
Oh,
got
I
it.
was confused
No,
because
I
Dennis
like the way
went
you
one
did- I
way
like
and
the
Dennis
way
went
you
the
did
other in a second.
I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Wow, this has been
You still need to close that public hearing, don't you?
Yes.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a
Thank
reminder,
you.
Mr. Chair, you never sought an approval of the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
Now we're still waiting
No,
on
I know
minutes.
that.
Okay, just wanted to remind you.
Next time, when we have a public hearing, you gotta open the meeting, you gotta continue at the time.
You open them up at the
10.
time.
Oh, I got you.
You gotta open up, and then I'll say, make a motion, we continue it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll make a statement that's past my bedtime, so we can move this along a little bit.
Okay, we need
It's been a
approval
while
of the minutes from the meeting of March 16th. Do
So moved, as presented.
we have a second?
Second.
You getting cut off today.
I know. That's all right.
I'm assuming we do not have public discussion.
I hope.
No one signed up, no.
Anything else in new business?
No.
I can't find my agenda in
You
my
plan
file.
entitled Oldham Circle.
Yeah, a road taking plan.
We have a road taking plan?
Yes, it's in a small form in your packet somewhere in there.
Did we vote on that?
Is the one you voted on last
I'm gonna
October?
abstain because I wasn't there.
Kinda
All
hurt.
right.
Oh,
The March 16th,
Mr.
I wasn't
Chairman.
at that meeting.
the minutes, all right, I made the motion to approve the minutes,
Yeah,
and Jack abstained.
Because I wasn't there at that meeting.
fine,
Okay.
Yeah.
fine. You got that, Chrissy? I knew you would.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. I just want to make sure I didn't.
Full confidence in
All
you.
right, so, all right, so,
No.
wait, we need,
No, we got a couple things we
we
gotta
have
do.
Alden Circle. Who's got the map?
It's a 8.5 by 11
Oh,
in
for
there.
God's
It's, I will say, you don't have to hold a public hearing on this, so we can save it for our next meeting and I can provide a larger copy.
Perfect.
However, I will note that this is the exact same plan you reviewed prior to the last town meeting that was indefinitely postponed when the petitioners weren't there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a very substantial betterment because of some of the issues noted. Actually, former planner Fadala has noted at the last town meeting that the covenant was never released on the property because they built the houses without finishing the road and there's like a retaining wall and a bunch of stuff there that is problematic. So all of the costs for rectifying those issues are included in the betterment. The DPW director recommended indefinitely postponing when no petitioner was there representing themselves. So she recommended indefinite postponement so that they could be there to vote themselves when the betterment is substantial in consideration of a normal road taking to deal with those issues that existed because they built the road and houses and conveyed houses prior to this board releasing the covenant years ago.
Wow.
So it's the same plan that we voted for?
It's identical.
Okay, so
Fine.
I'm fine with taking that vote.
I am too.
Me too.
Yeah.
What should we say, that we recommend town meeting? approval?
Recommend town meeting accept the layout of Oldham Circle.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Town planner report.
These are pretty light updates because we've been very busy with getting prepared for our Saturday kickoff meeting. But again, I've provided you the existing conditions chapters as drafted. These are, again, relatively bare bones because there's a lot of information that needs to be filled in via stakeholder meetings. We started doing some of that work at public meetings with the, associated boards and commissions. We haven't had any additional stakeholder interviews beyond town staff and boards and commissions. So they will be ongoing and the existing conditions will continue to be revised. I have received some comments, but I would urge the board to continue going through them and providing me comments at your earliest convenience so that we could update. Yes.
Yeah, so I put in some comments late today, and keep us updated on the meetings.
Sure.
That you're having with these boards. They were very, very helpful to attend and help me make comments, especially the Affordable Housing Chapter.
Yeah.
Because listening to the Affordable Housing Committee talk about these things with the engineers, it really helped.
Yeah, we've had some constructive dialogues. It's been good.
And I went to the historical one, and I thought I was helpful in that.
Yeah, we had it was a good conversation as well. I will note to the board that I have provided all of the chapters as well to the tribal chairman for their review and comment. We had hoped to have more intimate conversations with our tribal liaison who was appointed, but she made very clear in our first meeting she was not interested in serving in that capacity. And so I haven't had a good opportunity to collaborate with the tribe with regard to the existing conditions, and I'm waiting for the chairman to reappoint someone, and in the interim, he's reviewing the chapters among him and his staff. So that was a little unfortunate. I'm hoping to have a new appointee sometime soon. So that's that's the update thus far. Again, kickoff meeting this Saturday.
Yep.
That's really the exciting thing. Poppy Overlay District, I've just had a few subsequent conversations with the neighborhood. We anticipate having a staff level meeting with the Board of Health, the Conservation Agent, Building Commissioner, and myself to kind of lay out the issues as I've described. And we'll be meeting to discuss what we anticipate for an agenda in the future. Again, not much of an update, but.
Evan, just thinking, who the liaisons from Homeland?
So again, we're trying to convene with all of the neighborhood associations that comprise the Poppy Overlay District, so PBA, Overlook, Knoll, and Wilson's Grove. I've been communicating with Glenn McCarthy and Barbara Riley, who's the former president of the PBA.
Yeah, I know Barb.
But I'm assuming there will be appointee, I mean, really, we want to make this a public process, so as many people in the neighborhood should participate as possible.
I would hope so, just because.
But the neighborhood associations should probably nominate their own liaisons.
Well, yeah, my understanding, Glenn McCarthy, I'm sure he's passionate, but he spends the majority of his time in China. He resides, so you'd think he'd want someone more local, because you'd be doing Zooms with him in China.
Understood.
But just an idea. I don't know.
Understood. In the interim, I think it's important for us to define the issues, and I'll communicate that to the neighborhood associations to see if they can make sure there's someone here and present to discuss the issues with us.
Yeah, good point. Thank you.
Floodplain bylaw amendments, I have not been able to work on this in the past couple of weeks. But again, we'll need to update our floodplain provisions. I was contacted by Shannon Hulst relatively recently, who manages the county community rating system, of which the town is a part of. I've notified soon-to-be Fire Chief Phelan of the need to update our multi-hazard mitigation plan as well, which gets us credit in the community rating systems. I'm not sure we'll meet the deadline in consideration of all of our other priorities. But I anticipate inviting Ms. Holst here sometime in the near future to go over her comments on our current provision.
Okay.
And to help us lay the groundwork for what our amendment for an October town meeting will need to look like. And the cottage court zoning, again, it's on the back burner at the moment. I have not. Again, I would love to receive any particular comments from you all. I have not spoken with Willa Ben since that meeting. I have not updated any drafts on that. It's going to be on the back burner while we get the comprehensive plan up and running. And that's it.
What would be our deadline for an October town meeting
First,
bylaw?
first Monday in July, so. Is it the first Monday or second Monday?
God, you're right.
Yeah, it comes up fast.
Okay.
It's the second one.
It comes up fast.
But it's July. It's July.
I thought it was,
Okay, so it's
I thought it was
July.
after 4th.
Wow.
It's, maybe it's the second meeting, but it's
Yeah.
July. It's
Yep.
July.
Okay.
So, I mean, hopefully
Good
we'll be
luck,
able
man.
to,
Ready.
I don't know.
Let's
second
get one
meeting-
of them done.
Second meeting in June, a draft prepared.
Probably have to have the floodplain thing done.
Yeah, I
right?
mean.
Doesn't that affect people's insurance?
It does, and same with the multi-hazard mitigation plan. Most of the comments are, it's interesting that our floodplain provisions contemplate a lot of building code related issues. So it seems to imply that the zoning board of appeals has the ability to vary building code, which they do not. So that's what they've identified as potential issues, rectifying the flood zones with the new flood maps, stuff like that.
Okay.
So I'm seeking some direction from the experts because I'm not a floodplain expert. So we'll hear from Ms. Holston. We'll get some direction. That's it from me.
Can we forego the committee reports? Do we have?
Yeah, my blood sugar's dropping. I haven't eaten since lunch, so.
I have no report.
I have no report either.
I say Wicked Pizza, we had their signs to go. That's all I can say.
That's right, it'll be up here.
Historical report. There was no meeting.
No
We have a
meeting, no
motion?
meeting, no meeting.
Dennis, you're up,
Make a
buddy.
motion to adjourn.
Very good.
Second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Longest one in a while, folks.
Yeah.
Longest one that I can